Hello everyone and welcome to the World Sports Car Challenge live stream. We are at the home of British Motorsport, and of course I can only be talking about the Silverstone GP circuit in the heart of the UK. It's fairly cold here this afternoon, but thankfully the sun is still present in the sky for the time being. I'm sure much to the relief of some drivers. This then is round 3 of the season and the last opportunity for the teams to score some points before we break for Christmas. A very good chance for the teams to secure a comfortable lead in the points then, as the next round in January will be at the mighty Le Mans circuit. But a bit about Silverstone: it has hosted some of the most iconic machinery known to man. Countless Formula 1 races, the World Sports Car Endurance Championship, where it hosts the 6 Hours of Silverstone, the Hankook Series, the Porsche Cup, the Blank Pan Championship. The list goes on and on. Of course, with such a long history, Silverstone has changed a lot over the years as well, with the most recent addition of the circuit being, of course, the Village Complex and the new pit lane, which of course we see in front of our very eyes at the moment. This then makes a great place for the end of 2018 and offers the teams a chance to get their cars up on those leaderboards before we break for the year. Currently though, the teams are taking part in qualifying. We can just see the LMP2 cars going out onto the track limits, as some of the GTEs are still coming into the pit lane for the final time. And they've just finished all of their runnings for this moment. So we're going to go through the order for the GTEs before we go on board with some of these LMP2 cars. So in first place and with the fastest time at the moment is the 37 car, and that's Cheeble Hawk Racing with Chris Severt with a 156.039. So very good lap times here for the GTEs. Anything below a 57 or a 58 will be considered a fairly competitive time here. Then we have Gregor Spilat in the 88 Secura racing car with a 156.499. So a fairly substantial gap there from first to second. Not really used to seeing that. Usually it's within a tenth or two, even if that sometimes. I mean, the last 2 weeks ago at Slovakia Ring, it was about 2 or 3 thousandths of a second between the top 5 teams. So clearly showing some different pace here this evening. Then we have Mikhail Nizio in the 13 car. He is... oh no, so Daniel Visner is in second place, do apologise, with a 156.337. We had a bit of lag there, so my live timing just coming into play. So just to clarify then, Daniel Visner in the 43 is in second place with a 156.337. That's 0.298 seconds off the fastest man in the 37 car. Then it is Gregor Spilat in the 88 with a 156.499 in third, rounding out the podium positions for those GTEs. Then we have Rapid Racing with Mikhail Nizio in the 13 car, 156.543, which is 0.5 seconds off the leading time, but only a tenth behind a podium position finish. Then we have Daniel Vidamari in the number 2 Team RSI car, defending champions. He is doing a lap time of 156.685, so good lap times there. Then we have Turkey Hakkinen in the number 25, that's Vortex Sim Racing, 156.695. So really competitive field. All those top 6 cars there within half a second of one another, and behind the 37, which is the pole sitter, you're only literally a tenth or two away from taking those extra positions ahead. So very competitive times being set there. Then we have the first of the rookie monsters, the 82, driven by Mantos Rigas, 157.204 there by that team. And then we have Arcadia Satriba in the 32. Great result from them 2 weeks ago when we visited Slovakia Ring. That, of course, is the Taco Viper virtual racing car, 157.213 for them. Then we have Jamie Lopez in the 86. They did a 157.553. And then we have Rocco Scarvita, I think it's pronounced. I do apologise if I got that wrong. And that's a 157.553 for him. Some of the LMP2s now coming across the line, pushing these GTE teams down. Then we have Lance Link in the second of the Cheeble Hawk racing cars. They are doing a lap time of 157.6. And then we have Victor Arila, 157.936 for the 77. That's the MRT Race F1 car. Then we have Mad Hawkey Racing in 13th place. That is being driven by Sofian, I think it's Chachao. I believe it's pronounced. I do apologise if I've just completely butchered that name. And that's a 157.962. Then we have the 39, that's the other Cheaper Hawk racing car, 158.082. Daniel Erstling with the 87, 158.5. That's the F1 Bros Racing BMW. Then we have Angus Tong in the 81 car. That's the second of the rookie monsters. That's the Porsche variant, I believe. And that is 158.735. Kieran Sharp for the Eidos Motorsport car, they're 17th with a 158.874. Liam Davis in the Cheap Hawk racing cars, they have 5 of those on grid, so very busy from them here this evening. That's in 18th place with a 158.983, and in 19th place we have Albino Guena in the 79 car. So all of GTE cars, there's plenty of them here this evening. A bit of lag there from the server, fingers crossed that'll iron itself out. We've got 35 cars here this evening, and then the last of the GTEs on the qualifying grid is Team Triple S Racing in the 93 with Martin to break. That's a 2:08. So not exactly the result that they were looking for, but I'm sure they can progress up the order as the race unfolds. But right now, of course, the LMP2s are going around the order, so let's have a look at who is in first place, and that is Lorenzo Arisi. Once again, the 44 Reborn racing car showing the pace here for the WSCC. Fastest time thus far, 142.658, and that is 0.9 seconds faster than the next team down, which is the 69 car, which is Hansa Racing, currently being driven by Fabian Walter, 143.651. Pim Van Ark, which is the surprising news, of course they are the Fair Racing team, is a 143.8. That's a 1.1 seconds off the pace compared to their competitors. Of course, the 41 did take the checkered flag for the LMP2 class 2 weeks ago at Slovakia Ring. It was a really strong race by them, despite having a drive-through penalty, and they still was able to take that victory from the 44. Now, the 44 did run into issues 2 weeks ago as well, so no doubt that that was a deciding factor among things alongside of it. But just saying that we don't usually see the 41 that far off pace. Usually it's a tenth or two from the 44's kind of lap by lap pace, but we'll see how that unfolds over the next half hour. Still plenty of time in qualifying. I'm sure they can get a faster time on the board before we have to go racing. In fourth place at the moment we have the number 14 car. That's the Seawolf Netrace Motorsport team. They've got a new driver with them, and that's Rob Timpen driving them for them this evening. 144.373. They've just gone down into fourth place now. A very pretty car, one of my favourites on the grid. I've already said this several times at Interlagos, but some really nice skins here in the WSCC this season, and most of them very pleasant upon the eyes. P5 we've got Lazarus Philippakos in the Eidos Motorsport car. They've had a bit of a tipsy-turvy start to the season. Of course, at Interlagos they had that incident at turn 1, which sadly resulted in a retirement, and a similar situation 2 weeks ago at Slovakia Ring as well. So they'll be looking to get further up the order and maybe even make it to the checker flag this time round. They really badly need to do so in order to get those points on the board, but they aren't slow. I mean, they're still currently sitting in P6 at the moment, so they've by no means off pace and very competitive in the LMP2 field. They just need to be able to transform that pace into a race result, and they will surely start to go up that championship leaderboard. Tony Jansen just goes into third place in the 33. That's the sister car of the Fair Racing team. Usually we see these guys behind the 41, but this time round it's the opposite. 143.743 for them currently, and they're on the soft tyre, as is everyone else at the moment, but they secure third spot for the time being. There's a stationary car, I believe that's the number 7 guest car. No sign of Poland Sim Racing here this evening. I'm just going through the order as quickly as possible to try and find who is still due to take a lap. We've got Alexis Clipano, who's at the bottom of the order. He still hasn't set a lap yet, and that is of course the AMB number 20. Very competitive this season compared to last, so keep an eye on those guys. They're usually within the top 5. We've got Daniel Poter all the way down in 11th place, which is a very large surprise. Of course, this is the defending LMP2 car. They won last season under Max Grip Endurance team, and they're just coming out the pit lane as we changed camera angles just then. But all the way down in 11th place with a 1:44.692. That is 2 seconds off the pace of Reborn Races. So something definitely not gone right for them there. Fingers crossed they can resolve that issue and get back up the order as they usually do. And he retires back to the pit lane. There we go, Alexis Clipano into second place. So, of course, he was biding his time, waiting for that opportune moment, and he secures second place with a 1:43.045. That's still 0.5 seconds slower than Lorenzo Arisi at the moment, but of course, first flying lap complete, and maybe there's a bit more to give in those tyres as they raise in temperature, especially through this section of corners here. Of course, the famous Maggotts and Beckett's speeding down into this section of corners, and it's about carrying the speed through those apexes and just perfecting that line as best you can. You can lose a ton of time if you make a mistake on the entry to that complex of corners there, because you're pretty much along for the ride if you mess up the first entry. He seems to be doing fairly well though. Let's have a look at his sector times as he comes around the last few corners down into Vale. On the exit of Vale into Club Corner he goes. Is he going to go faster this time by, it's a 1:43.045 so far, and he does not go faster that time round, so no improvement there from the AMBU car. We're going to go on board with one of the teams though before we get into the end of qualifying, just to give you guys a little taster as to what it's like to go around the circuit in one of these cars if you haven't already signed up to the series. So I'm going to pick one of the guys who's currently going around the circuit, or at the beginning if we can. Of course, you can check up on the current situation in terms of live timing by going over to our website. Fabian Walter takes third place away. The 69 car for Hansa Racing going up into third, and that's demoted the 33 of Tony Jansen down into fourth place, 1:43.252 for Hansa Racing. So good work by them. Pim van Ark still struggling in the 41 car. That's a 1:43.816, which is no improvement over the last time that we saw him. So sadly, no improvement from that team. And the number 20 car retires to the pit lane for the time being. On board with Tony Jansen, he's still going around, giving his best for the Fair Racing team. Trying to... Oh, and Pim van Ark goes into second place. That is the 41 car securing second, and that is 0.4 seconds off the leader. So the LMP2 class definitely becoming a bit more feisty at the end of the qualifying session. Only around 10 minutes remaining. Now the question is, will they respond in any way? The number 20 car, of course, Alexis Clupano, is back out on circuit. See if he can come up with something to find that extra 10th to re-secure that second place for the number 20 car. In other news, Daniel Poacher's moved up into 5th place in the number 1 car, 1:43.515, still 0.9 seconds off the fastest car though, and Lorenzo Risi picks up the pace even further with a 1:42.249. That's now 0.7 seconds off the next competitive team in our list of LMP2 cars. So really showing good pace here at Silverstone this afternoon, and it's going to be really hard for some of the teams here to come back and find that extra pace. That's a lot of time to find in a track like this, especially through some of the faster corners. Of course, the LMP2s can carry much more speed through the apexes as opposed to their GTE colleagues. But it has to be said, it looks like maybe they're struggling a bit, and Pim van Ark makes a small improvement that time round, 1:42.826, which is now an extra 10th quicker than his previous lap, but it's not enough to obviously secure that overall top spot. No improvements across the board at the moment, although the 25 car makes a small improvement. No change of position though, still in P6, but a 1:43.547 for him. So they are making ground, but still need to find a few tenth or two if they're going to start moving up into that top 5. Try and find one of the guys that are going around the start-finish line. As I said, we're trying to find a car that's going to be on their fast lap. We're going to go with the AMBU car. They're just starting their lap now. So, oh no, he's just finishing. Of course he is. That's always the way when it comes to us here in the commentary box. Okay, so the 41 is just coming over the start-finish line now. Over the start-finish line now, so his time has just officially started. Don't expect much of a lift into turn 1. It's just a little blip off the throttle and then full commitment all the way over to the left-hand side and get onto the curbing and then carry the speed down into first gear. Then it's a small acceleration before coming straight back off the throttle again and allowing the car to just gradually turn in. Then you're on the first of the straights down towards the old version of the circuit, which is Brooklands coming up, and then you've got to watch out for the braking mark on the right-hand side. That's your reference. Brake all the way down to 3rd or 2nd and hit that apex on the inside line. Carry quite a bit of speed through there, and it's a fairly tricky corner to get right. Then you go to Luffield, carry the speed through, rise off the apex to get a good cut down to Woodcote and the old start-finish, which of course is what we're used to seeing. The nice Silverstone sign hangs over the head before you get to the Cops corner, the old turn 1. 5th gear, sometimes 4th, which is what the 41 car's chosen to do, and carry that speed through. Be careful of the runoff though before you get to Maggotts and Beckett's. Now this is where you can lose a lot of time. Carry the speed through. You can ride the curbing quite aggressively on the first of the corner, which is of course Beckett's, and then carry the speed through, hit the apex, make sure you get a nice run out of Chapel before you get onto the Hanger Straight. Next corner is Stowe. Make sure you hit the markings, which is the curbing on the left-hand side, down into 4th or 3rd gear, and carry the speed once again. It's a late accelerating corner. Make sure you use all of the road available before you get the run down through Vale and into Club. A very slow section of corners here before you get onto the start-finish straight, the new start-finish line. and across the line. Let's see what kind of time he's going to do. 1:42.496. That's an improvement from him by 0.3 seconds and 0.2 seconds off the pace from the number 44 car of Lorenzo Arisi. The 69 car did post a fairly decent time. He did actually go up into second place while we was on board with the 41. So Fabian Walter in the 69 car, 1:42.813. So it was improvement from them, but Pim van Aert just comes straight back at them and re-secures that second place for the Fair Racing team. In fourth place, we've got Alexis Lopano, still 1:42.835. He's still going around the circuit as we speak, and no doubt looking for an improvement. Number one car is on fire according to live timing. He's going even faster this time round. He's purple for the last sector. Let's see if he can make an improvement this time round as he comes across the start-finish line. Will it be a faster lap? Yes, it will. What an amazing jump in pace, 1:41.898. And just when Pim van Aert and the 41 team thought that they were in striking distance by 0.2 seconds, he reopens the gap to 0.6 between the top teams. So really, as soon as he's just playing a game with them now. It's can you catch me, can you not? Try your best and we're going to extend the gap anyway, no matter what you do. Really good stuff to watch there from Lorenzo Arisi. Pim van Aert just coming across the timing line. No purple sectors for him this time around. I've never seen a 1:41 lap time here in an LMP2 car. That's the first for me, that's for sure. No improvement that time by for Pim van Aert, and he retires to the pit lane. On board with the number 20 AMBU car once again, Alexis Lopano. He's the faster of the two, I do believe, out of the team, but we'll see how that plans out. 1:42.835 still on the board. He just needs to find quite literally 0.03 of a second in order to secure a podium position here this time round. Missed the apex there into Brooklands. That's not going to help him in his efforts. Daniel Poach has just gone faster with a 1:43.132. So that is the defending Black Hawk Racing car into 5th place currently. Still, that's 1.2 seconds off the lead man, Lorenzo Arisi. That's a huge deficit. I mean, Black Hawk Racing aren't a slow team by any means. They're extremely competitive, and you're used to seeing them on the podium position. But here at Silverstone this afternoon, looks like they may be struggling a bit. Oh, and there's an off car. That's the 83 car of Rookie Monsters there. They're currently in 11th place with a 1:44.164. So some mistakes going on to the hangar straight, which is an odd place to see a car spun out, that's for sure. And some people saying they can't hear me, so I don't know if can anyone hear me on the live stream. I'm not too sure. Fingers crossed. I'm not muted, I promise you. But if not so, then crank up your volumes to the max if you can. Ah, that's good then. Some people sending me messages saying that they can't hear anything, so it's obviously a bogus call. Crying wolf. Yeah, for some reason the session timer is broken. This with the recent update for this overlay. For some reason it doesn't like recording the time, but fingers crossed that'll be fixed for the next round. We'll try our best to do that for you guys. It is confusing for me as well, so it's in my interest to get it fixed, because I'm looking at the live timing and I'm thinking, hang on, how long's left? And it is rather confusing. So I'll have to be extra awake this time round. There is, though, 5 minutes left in qualifying for you guys that are watching on the live stream, so don't worry, I'll keep you informed as best I can to make sure that your driver stints aren't affected in any way if you are just watching over here. So just ask and I will tell you how much time is remaining if you so wish. Still no change in the order of things though. It is as things stand. The 44 Reborn Races car, Lorenzo Risi in first place, although Pim van Ark really how should I say it? He's responded very quickly to the times posted by the 44 car. He's now done a 142.178. That's 0.278 seconds off the pace of the leading man. So Pim van Ark really rising to the challenge and saying, well, if you want to go faster, then bring it on, because no matter what you do, I'm going to stay within a few tenths of your fastest time. So the question is whether Lorenzo Risi can find any extra pace in the LMP2 car. I'll be very surprised if he can, because I'm sure that thing is right on the edge of what is possible. But in third place we have the 69 Hansa Racing car, Fabian Walter, still in charge of that one, 142.779, which is 0.8 seconds slower than the 44's fastest. Then we have the number 20, Alexis Clapano, doing a 142.835, followed by Daniel Pota in the number 1 car, it's 143.132. Then we have Eidos Motorsport, 143.547, with, oh no, he's just been demoted by Samuel Rovida in the Triple S Racing car. The last minute man strikes. He always does this in qualifying. He waits until the very last moment. He's just made a mistake going into the village complex, so bad news there. But he's into sixth place rather, sorry, with a 143.465. Then we have the Eidos Motorsport car, who we've already just mentioned, with a 143.501. And then we have Tony Jansen, the 33 car that started off very strongly, but obviously has gone down the order since, 143.690 for them. Then we have the 14 car with Rod Timpen, 144.0. And he's just gone faster, actually. He's gone up to 9th now with a 143.745. So a small improvement there by the 9th place car. He's just gone off circuit, probably a static that he's gone faster that time round perhaps. And then we have Liam Rance with the 55 car, 144.124, and that's the TCS racing car. The 83 car's just gone way up the order into 8th place. They were down, but now they've gone up. Their new fastest lap time, 143.506, and that secures them their 8th place. In the meantime, Lorenzo Risi still trying to scrape together some extra performance out of that LMP2 car. Now fastest lap is a 0141.825. So that's just extended that gap ever so slightly, not by much, but it is still a slight advantage. Now the gap to the 41 car is 0.35 seconds. Going further down the order still, the 42 car being driven by Ricardo Boykman. That's the sister Hansa Racing car with a 144.211. Then we have Iceberg Racing, a regular visitor here at CFEG and WSCC. They're in 13th place with a 145.1. Then we have Claudio Souza. They're taking the guest car for this evening as the number 7, as is Lars Winkel in the 15 car as well, and they're in 13th and 14th respectively, 14th and 15th rather respectively, and they have 146 and a 148 on the board. So they're fairly uncompetitive at the moment, unfortunately. Fingers crossed they can find some extra time in the last remaining minute and a half, but I highly doubt it. Tony Jensen's made a slight improvement with a 143.540, and here comes Christos in the 83 rookie monster car. Is he going to improve as he comes across the timing line? Let's have a look. Just coming up to the end of this session then. We've still got Lorenzo Risi still going, trying to find that extra time. Pim van Ark surely has to finally admit defeat as we enter the last 30 seconds of qualifying. They're both still going around the track though. Pim van Ark's just coming into club corner now. And he goes sideways on the exit of Vale. That's a very risky moment there, but he's definitely not going to improve this time round. 142.4 was his last lap, so yeah, he calls it a day and comes in a valiant effort in order to try and gain the first place or that podium position. But it has to be said, the 44 has just been unbeatable in the last half hour for the LMP2 class. Really strong performance, and of course that's going to give him a slight confidence boost in the as we go forward towards the green flag and the 3 hours of Silverstone. So we are in overtime now, so the remaining cars get to finish or complete their last flying laps before we go for our 5-minute warm-up session and then the 3-hour race itself. Just while we're waiting for all the cars to come across the start-finish line and complete their last few laps. And of course then we will go into the 5-minute warm-up session. But if you are new to the series, or if you're visiting our live stream for the very first time, please do consider giving us a visit on our website at www.checkerflagendurance.com. You can find the link, or the there should be links in the description of this live stream. And of course, if you are interested in sign up for the series, we do accept reserve teams. Always looking for extra people to race with us and expand the series and make it more competitive and more pleasant to watch for the guys at home sitting at their computer desks. So if you are interested, then please do give us a visit, or even come and speak to us on Discord. There should be links in the description for you there as well. So don't be shy, we don't bite. But right now all the cars are in the pit lane. The session has now been completed for qualifying. We'll just wait for that change over to the warm-up session, and we'll go for a quick TV break before we go live. Don't go anywhere, guys. We will be straight back with the 3 hours of Silverstone, round 3 of the World Sports Car Series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the live stream. We are at Silverstone for round 3 of the World Sports Car Challenge, and the cars are just lining up on the starting grid now to begin the 3-hour race. Qualifying has just been completed, and of course all of the LMP2 cars went for the last 30 minutes. I'm just going to run through the order just quickly for those of you that are just joining us, and give you an idea of who is where before we go racing. So the number 44, the Reborn Racers, is currently in charge of this pack, and he set an amazing time of 141.835 right before we got to the end of the session, and that means that Pim van Ark is in second place despite a valiant effort to try and get that car into the podium position. It was not enough to demote them into that position. Quite a few cars haven't even gridded yet, so I'm a bit concerned that they're going to miss the start of the race, but fingers crossed they will load up just in time. But yes, Pim van Ark is in second place in the 41 car. Securing third place is the Hansa Racing team in the 69, being driven by Fabian Walter. Good performance by them in qualifying. And then Alexis Klapano, number 20 AMBU car. Still a strong performance, going to and fro on and off of the podium, but again it was not enough to secure third place. In fifth rather, is Daniel Poter in the defending number 1 Black Hawk Racing car, and then in sixth is Samuel Rovida, very sneakily coming in at the very last moment of qualifying in his number 18 Triple S Racing car. Then we have the 83 Rookie Monster LMP2 car, followed by Eidos Motorsport number 25 with Lazarus Philippakos. Then we have the 33 with Tony Jansen in 9th. In 10th, we have the number 14 Seawolf Netrace Motorsport Racing car with Rob Timpum. Then we have in the 55 TCF Off Racing car in the hands of Liam Rance in 11th. In 12th, we have the 42 Hansa Racing car with Ricardo Boykman behind the wheel, with Iceberg Racing in 13th, close behind. Then we have the 2 new guest cars with Claudio Souza and Lars Winkel in 14th and 15th. And that is the LMP2 class for you right there. Then we go down to the GTEs. It is the 37 Cheaper Hawk Racing car with Chris Servet, who claimed that top spot for the class, followed closely by Daniel Wisner in the last minute dash to the line in the Black Hawk Racing BMW in the 43. Then we have Gregos Bulat in the 88 car for Secura Racing in 3rd, followed closely by Mikhail Nizio for Rapid Racing in the number 13 car, and that's in 4th place. In 5th, we have the Team RSI, the defending champions, with Daniel Vidamari behind the wheel, followed by Vortex Sim Sports with Turka Hakkinen in 6th. Then we have the 82 Rookie Monster car being driven by Mantis Rikas in 7th, followed by the Taco Virtual Viper Racing car in 8th with Arcadia Satriba. Then we have the 86 car in 9th place with Jamie Lopez, and that's one of the guest cars, one of the stock skins. Then we have Rocco Scarvita in the 34 in 10th. That's one of the guest cars, that's the Corvette C7 there. Then we have Cheaper Hawk Racing in the 37, or 36 rather, in 11th, and followed closely by the 77 with Victor Aurelia in 12th. Then the number 40 Mad Hawk Racing car in 13th, followed by the 39 Cheaper Hawk Racing car in 14th. Then we have Daniel Ersling in 15th in the 87, that's the F1 Bros Racing BMW. Then moving on to the next sheet, we have in 16th place the 81 Rookie Monster car being driven by Angus Tong. We have Kieran Sharp in the 23 Eidos Motorsport car in 17th. Then in 18th we have another Cheaper Hawk Racing car with Liam Davies. And then in 19th place we've got the 79 Nitrous Oxide Racing car. And in 20th for GTE, and the 35th car on the grid is Triple S Racing with Martin Sebring. So as things stand at the end of qualifying, that is the lineup for you. It's obviously a very long warm-up lap behind the safety car for the guys here, and this is where the teams will start to get slightly nervous as they get to that penultimate corner before that green flag is waved. On board with Lorenzo Arisi in the 44 Reborn Racers car. He's going to be itching to go, and of course they do have to ignore the green flag issued by the server. For those of you that have not watched this race before or watched these throughs before, it is a designated start line, which is just as you come to the exit of Club Corner onto the start-finish straight, and that is when the leader of each class decides, or once they reach that line, that start-finish line, they can begin the race for their respective class. So they're too wide going now onto the exit of Vale. Down into the corner they go. Just Club Corner to navigate now before he unleashes the LMP2 field on to the racetrack of Silverstone. This is round 3 of the World Sports Car Challenge, and they are racing. Lorenzo Arisi gets off to a fairly decent start. Oh no, he's messed up the start there. Lorenzo Arisi has forgotten where the start-finish line is, so bad result there. And the person that's taken advantage of that is the number 14 as he goes up into 3rd place. Fabian Walter also moves out as Pim van Aert goes down the order, and that is a bit of a disastrous start for the LMP2 class. Looks like Lorenzo forgot that the start-finish line was beforehand, and as a result causes a bit of chaos. Daniel Pota goes down the order. He's dropping like a stone at the moment. He's spun around and is nowhere to be seen. Looks like he's trying to regain some form of tarmac. Still a green flag at this time. He's cut back onto the track and taken out one of the GTEs. That is bad racing there by Daniel Pota. Just swoops back down onto the racing limits and pretty much destroys one of the Porsche Cheaper Hot racing cars. Let's go into the GTE though, because Chris Tevert has lost that pole position to Daniel Wisner in the Black Hawk racing car and goes down into 2nd place. Then we have the 88 of Gregor Spilat. So 1, 2, 3 GTE cars going through Copse Corner as we speak. Bit of chaos between the LMP2s. That's the Eidos Motorsport car off to the side there. That's Lazaros Filipakos. Further bad news for them. That's their 3rd race in a row where they've had issues at the start of this race, and I'm just a bit, I'm sorry, I'm trying to find my words here, but I'm just a bit disappointed about the start of this race. You know, it's a bit chaotic and a bit too bashy. Of course, they are told in driver briefings to take it easy. And I just think that maybe a bit too aggressive at the start of this race, and it's cost a lot of teams a lot of places. We've already got Daniel Pota way down the order. We've already got a lot of the teams struggling, including Lazaros Filipakos, and of course that cut across took out one of the Cheaper Hawk racing cars, and I just wasn't expecting that, so I apologise, trying to regain my train of thought here. Going wide on the exit of turn 1, and let's go back to the LMP2 field, because Lorenzo Arisi has regained that 1st place and extending his lead as we speak. 2.5 seconds now as Pim van Aert comes down the line as well in the 41 Fair Racing car. So it's 1-2 for them so far, and the 14 car is still hanging on to that all-important 3rd place at the moment. They're under attack by the AMBU number 20 in the hands of Alexis Laplano. Coming down towards Copse Corner now. In 5th place, we've got the 83 car. That's Rookie Monsters, followed by Samuel Rovida in the 18 as well. Then it's the 55 with Liam Rance in 7th place with TCF Off Racing. And then we have Fabian Walter, of course, the car that qualified in 3rd after a greatly fought qualifying round, is all the way down into 8th place after that very chaotic start to this round. Live timing is there for you if you do want it. Of course, some of you are asking in the live chat. But on to the lead of GTE. Daniel Wisner still leading. Chris Tevert followed closely by Secura Racing. Mikhail Nizio is still in 4th place, so he's held onto that position quite nicely. It looks like it's a train of 4 in the GTE so far for those overall top positions. Lorenzo Arisi extending the lead, 143.289. Now 3.2 seconds gap to the 41 car. With Daniel Pota making his way back up the order for the defending champions. Just completing their 2nd lap as they come down into Vale and Club Corner. Seems well so far for the GTEs. Of course, Daniel Potter slicing through the traffic as we speak, going in between the Secura racing car and the Porsche front of Chris Levert. No issues this time round though. He's going to regain some track position and get onto the back of the LMP2 field. Not sure what's happened to the LMP2 car from Eidos Motorsport. They seem to have fallen off the order entirely. They may have retired from this race as well with Lazarus Philippakos. They're not on, yeah, they're in 34th place now. Lance Link is in the pit lane as well. That's one of the cheaper bought racing cars. It looks like this is our second retirement of this race as well. Very sad thing to see so early on into a 3-hour race. Of course, endurance racing is all about keeping it steady, keeping it to the end, to the checkered flag, and doing what you can. Daniel Potter going down the order again. So further bad news for the Poland Sim Race or Black Hawk racing car. Blimey, I can't get my words out this evening. He's going down the order and he's actually retired to the pit lane. So not good news for them. So it's our third retirement for this race. Only 32 cars on the grid after around 3 or 4 laps being completed. Lorenzo Risi still in charge for the time being. 2.5 seconds to Pim Van Ark. You can just see coming out of the village complex now. And then the 14 car is around 8 seconds adrift from the rest of the teams. You can just see a small blur in the far distance, which is them trying to defend their third place from the AMBU number 20 car. Alexis Clipano looking down the inside, trying to find a way past, but not close enough this time by. They've got to be just that bit closer before they can make a move down the inside there. Defending nicely though here at Silverstone. Despite Silverstone being a fairly wide track, depending on where you are on circuit, it can be quite tricky to get an overtaking manoeuvre done. So got to be very careful about where he picks his moments here. Of course, coming through Magus and Beckett's, it's a very complex set of corners before you get onto the hanger straight. And of course, if you master the exit there, you can gain a few tenths, especially when you're in a slipstream position, to overtake the next car ahead. A bit wide there for the 14. This may be an opportunity for the number 20. He goes defensive down onto the inside line and he takes that position away. Nice driving there from the number 20, and Alexis Clipano for the AMBU team just swoops down the outside line into Vale and takes that position away. They are now in P3 in class. Now the 14 is out of position. Of course, they qualified in 6th place or 7th place, and they're going to be struggling now to keep some of these teams that are behind in their relative positions. The 83, the rookie monster LMP2 team, the next one down the line. And of course, you've got Samuel Rovida in the 18 Triple S racing car as well. They're in 6th place and only a few tenths behind as well. So things could spice up for the remaining few top 5 positions here in LMP2 in just a few moments' time. Going to GTE, though, we have had a development in the top 3 positions because Daniel Wisner is still holding on, but the 88 car being driven by Gregor Spilat has taken 2nd place away from the 37 being driven by Chris Levert. Mikhail Nizio still looking ahead, though. He's still in 4th place and hanging on to the back of this train of GTE cars, and looking and waiting patiently for his moment to strike. Then there's a fairly large gap to Turka Hakkinen in the number 25 Vortex Sim Sports car, and the 82 with Mantis Rikas and the rookie monsters as well. So he's hanging on to the top 5 with everything he has. Then there's a fairly large gap to Daniel Vidamari and Team RSI in the number 2 car, and then we have Arcadius Retriever rather, in 32 as well, and that's in 8th place. 69 Hands racing car having a few issues as well. They're moving down the order into 8th, obviously on a recovery drive for the time being. So fingers crossed we can see them go back up into the podium position as they rightly deserve through qualifying. Of course, racing is entirely different though compared to the rest of the race. got a battle going on between Team RSI and Arcadius Retriever though, because here they come. This is actually it's the rookie monster Corvette C7 car that is in 6th place for the time being, looking down the inside into Copse Corner, but not close enough to take advantage. Copse Corner is one of them situations where you can make a move, but you're going to lose a lot of time doing it. So I always advise not going down the inside into Copse, because it can have a very nasty end result if you don't get it right. You've got to trust the person that you're racing against in order to make it work, and sometimes some people are fairly just a bit that extra bit aggressive going into the apex of the corner. We will have the slipstream though coming onto the hangar straight down towards Stowe. Still not close enough, but of course that Corvette C7 has a few more ponies under the bonnet compared to the Porsches here, so fairly easy to defend on the long straight. It's the corners where he seems to be struggling and trying to keep back that Porsche. Looks like it's very competitive GTE field here this afternoon. The LMP2's still going for it. Pim Van Ark in the 41 LMP2 car, still hanging on to that 2nd place, but now 2.8 seconds behind Lorenzo Arisi in the 44 Reborn Racers car. Lazarus Philippakos in the Idas Motorsport LMP2 is still going, although he's way down the order in 22nd place. And of course that is 14th. Oh, Team RSI look down the inside into the village, but don't get the move done. Of course that is the loop down into Aintree and Wellington Straight. Here comes the Idas Motorsport car in the background there. You can see it off the racing line, trying to undercut all of these GTE cars. That's the 32 Taco Viper virtual racing car there. He's trying to navigate his way around, which he does. And he's going wide. Wow, that's a lot of entry speed into Brooklands there, which is a surprise. I wasn't expecting that one. Obviously having some issues navigating off the racing line there. Now the question is, will Team RSI take advantage of the situation? They've got a fairly nice gap to the car, 32 car behind. It's just about picking the right moment to make that move, to make it stick. Looks like he's gonna... No, he's not close enough yet, going into Maxim Beckett's for the 6th time. Seeing how aggressively the cars attack the inside curbing on the first of the corners there in this complex of corners. You can really attack the first corner in order to get a nice run down a good... nearly got taken out there by the 25 car. Swoops in between them. Extremely dangerous driving there, but manages to get away with it. No contact made between them. So would have been a shame to end with him taking out these 2 GTE cars, but he does so nicely. He knows the width of his car, clearly. Sandball with these guys because they're currently fighting for this position. They're the closest cars at the moment, although we have one battle as well in the LMP2 field between Hansa Racing and TCS Off Racing as well. They're 0.2 seconds adrift. And then we have Fair Racing as well that are close behind, so it could be a 3-way battle unfolding there very shortly. Let's have a quick switch between these guys, because TCS Off Racing are defending P7 in LMP2 from Hansa Racing, and Tony Jansen in the Fair Racing 33 as well. Down into turn 1 they go. Of course, for the LMP2s, a lot of speed can be carried through this section of corners as opposed to the GTE, so full commitment from these teams. So Sammy Ravida has made a mistake going into Village. Puffs of smoke coming from every corner of the car. Looks like Ricky Monster is also struggling to make way as well. Now this has made this battle a lot more interesting. It's gone from a 3-way battle for 7th place to a 5-way battle for 5th place. GTE traffic getting in the way as well. There's the Idos Motorsport GTE car as well. It's a 23 on the inside line. Wouldn't like to be in his position right now as all of these LMP2 cars swamp the rest of the remaining tarmac around him. And TCS Off Racing goes for the undercut onto the racing line. He goes and manages to pass fairly safely. The number 42 and the 33 follow, and it looks like the 33 may have taken advantage of that situation and moved up by 1. No, he hasn't. It's just my live timing lying to me once again. Oh, and there's contact there from TCS and Nitrous Oxide Racing. No fault there from the GTE car. He was sticking to the racing line. TCS trying to chew off more than he, or has bigger eyes than anything else. That gap was never going to be wide enough for him to fit down the inside of, and as a result, just by the click of his fingers, he's gone from 7th in class all the way down to 10th. Hansa Racing go wide on the exit of Stowe. That's going to cost him a few places as well. Back down the order, the number 42 goes into 9th. Here comes Liam Rance trying to take that position back. In other news, Team RSI move up the order. They've taken their position away from the 82 car of the Rookie Monster team. That has secured them 6th place in class for the time being. Daniel Wisner still leading the way from Gregor Spilak in the 88. It's 14 seconds adrift now, so he's got a really comfortable lead for the time being. Here comes the first of the LMP2 cars. Then we have Secura Racing and Chris Devert in 3rd. Mikhail got a fairly large gap now of about a second, or just over a second now, to the 3rd place GTE, but still in the fight. Vortex Sim Sports seem to be catching up by a considerable margin as well. Turkka Hakkinen in the 25 car in 5th place. Last lap was a 1:59.274, which is only a 10th slower than Mikhail Nizio in the 13 car. Now the top leading GTE is on a 1:59 as well. That's Daniel Wisner, but Gregor Spilak, fastest lap so far, is a 1:58.7. So he is gaining ground on that last lap. So maybe we may possibly see a lead change here in GTE in a few moments' time. Let's go back to the battle between all of these LMP2 cars though, because they were going tooth and nail for those positions. Looks like things have calmed down just ever so slightly, and it looks like the person that's come out on top of that small little battle there was the 18 Triple S Racing car, because Samuel Ravida is now into P5 in class. He's got a bit of damage on that rear left-hand side of that car. You can see the diffuser sustaining a fair bit of damage. Goes down into turn 1 in front of the Taco Virtual Viper Racing car. Bit of a sketchy moment there for the Porsche team, who did so well 2 weeks ago at Slovakia Ring. They're currently holding on to 8th place in this afternoon's race. And we have the Rookie Monster car as well. He's fighting through the traffic as best he can, holding on to P6 again. Bit of damage to the rear diffuser of that LMP2 car as well. Coming up behind the sister Corvette C7 car. Ooh, bit of a CJ wobble there from the steering wheel. If only we had a cockpit camera view of that one, because he seemed to swerve left and right, not too sure where to go. Of course, with the LMP2 cars, they need to be careful about how fast they carry their speed into these corners, because the GTEs just simply can't do the same. Battle going on between Fair Racing and also Hansa Racing as well. Look at all this traffic coming down into these corners here. Tony Jansen really squeezing the, I think that was the Mad Hall Racing car there, as they on the entry to Magnus and Beckett's. Just about got away with it. I think that was through the grace of the Porsche more than anything else, because if he decided to take the apex, there's nothing that the 33 could have done. Quite a lot of damage on the front of that car, as you can see the scratch marks on that front wing, so that's going to affect his aerodynamic performance as well. Doesn't seem to be having any issues going through Solo, which is a fairly high speed corner, and he's right on the tail of the Hansa Racing number 42 car. Ricardo Beutmann defending. 33 goes down the inside, move done and dusted, and the 42 has to go wide to avoid any contact, but that was a great move there from the 33 as he goes down into turn 1, and he secured that position away. That's 9th in class in the bag for them for the time being. Lorenzo Risi still leading the way of this race though. Fastest lap so far is a 1:43.289. Last lap 1:44.9. Of course, that's because of all of the GTE traffic that we have going on at the moment. Daniel Wisner is still leading in GTE though, up by 3 positions overall. That's because obviously we had a few retirements in the LMP2 class, sadly. Still 13 LMP2 cars going around though, and 17 plus GTEs at the moment. See if we can find any battles. There are plenty going on all over the circuit, and we've got a fight between the Taco Virtual Rival Racing car on our hands. Let's see if we can get them in front of us, and they're having a always contact made between the two of them. That's the guest team in the Porsche, currently being driven by Jamie Lopez. As they come down into Copse Corner, luckily nothing came of that. I think they didn't realise that the LMP2 was on the inside line there. That's the Iceberg Racing car just entering Magnussen Beckett's there, and I think just maybe trying to use a bit more track than what they think they had, and that just led to a bit of a bumper bash as a result, but luckily no damage caused by either team. And we've got the Mad Hawk Racing car behind as well, so they want some of this action as well. This is for P8 in class, all Porsches, 1, 2, 3 of them, and then you can see close behind 77 MRT Race F1 BMW close behind as well, and they're fighting for 11th, defending against the number 34 and the 39 car. So all action happening up and down the order in GTE at the moment. LMP2 seems to have calmed down just slightly. There's about 0.9 seconds between the Hansa Racing 69 car and the rookie monster car as well. Looks like the 83 might be running into issues. They slow down quite a lot going into the next complex of corners. Let's have a look at them. No, maybe just a small error then, because there's not any GTE traffic surrounding them. It just was a bit strange that Fabian Walter in the 69 Hansa Racing car was able to gain so much time against him in that village complex. Let's go back to Arcadis Retriever though, because they have a closer battle on their hands for the time being. There's a mistake for the 32 as they spin out on the entry into Brooklands. Bad result there for them. They're going to lose so many places, down into 13th now, so lost 4 positions. I think maybe it was just a bit too much braking performance going into the corner. You have to really trail brake to get the optimal performance, especially out of these GTE cars. Of course, they don't have ABS, there's no braking aids whatsoever, so it's just down to driver input. And Brooklands is one of them corners that you want to get maximum performance out of the car, but at the same time you have to be slightly careful, because if you overdo it, then the rear will lock up and spin around and overtake the front. And it's exactly what happened there to Arcadis Retriever, sadly. There's a battle between the leading GTE cars as well, though. Daniel Wisner under attack from Gregor Spilat in the 88 Secura Racing cars. Christopher Ed still hanging on in there, but he's out of slipstream range at this moment in time. So Black Hawk Racing v Secura Racing, who is going to come out on top at this early stage of the race? Of course, we're only half an hour into this 3-hour event, 2 hours and 37 minutes remaining. So already we're seeing battles happening up and down the order. Some of the LMP2 cars trying to slice their way past. Plenty of room to do so as they come down into Brooklands. The Iceberg Racing team places himself neatly in between the 2 leading GTE cars. Still see Mikhail Nizio in the background there for the Rapid Racing team as well. He's hanging on to 4th place. Very competitive still. Let's have a look at their last lap times, shall we, to give us an idea of what kind of pace these GTE leaders are on. So starting with the leading car, the 43, last lap was a 159.219, and his best lap so far has been a 157.835. So taking into consideration the traffic conditions and along with the track as well, we're looking at 158s as being competitive times for these guys at the front. Then we have Gregor Spilat in the car behind. Last lap was a 159.418, so he lost a tenth or two that last time round, but fastest lap time is also 157.811, so literally 0.03 of a second advantage between those 2 cars comparing their best lap times. Then we have Chris Evert, 157.944 was his fastest lap time, and his last lap was a 1:59.4 as well. So those top three cars extremely on pace with one another. Mikhail Nizio's fastest lap time 1:57.7, so he's the fastest of the GTEs on grid at the moment, but his last lap 1:59.877. So those top four GTEs really on pace with one another and not letting the other one go without a fight, that's for sure. Got to keep a close eye on these guys as the race unfolds. That's definitely going to heat up as things progress onwards. Team RSI still holding on to 6th place, and also not forgetting the number 25 with Turka Hakkinen as well. Last lap was 1:59.322, so they're on pace with things as well. The only disadvantage that they have is their fastest lap is a 1:58.519, but as things stand at race pace for the time being, they are definitely up there with the top boys. Lorenzo Ricci in the LMP1 field still leading the way. 2.9 seconds to Pim van Ark in the 41 car. So looks like their lap times are evening out slightly. Looks like the traffic may be playing its part for the time being at this stage of the race, and just the Reborn Racing car not able to make a huge gap between themselves and the Fair Racing team at this stage. We have got races going on everywhere in the GTE field. The most close at the moment is the 39. If we go down to them. Now this is the Cheaper Hawk Racing car, and they're trying to move up the order by taking away the guest cars from the number 34 team. That's being driven by Rocco Scarvetta. Nice to see another Corvette on the grid. Palam says, imagine this with 60 car field like in iRacing. I bet the service would crash with that incident. Well, it hasn't been that chaotic for the time being. The start was fairly tipsy-turvy, shall we say. There's a few incidents there which sadly has forced a few retirements, but I think overall hasn't been that chaotic of a race, touch wood, thus far. I mean, I've played iRacing for several years, and the start of the race, especially in the WEC, you get so many incidents, especially with the LMP1 field, and there's so many dive bombs, so many crashes, it's unreal, and you almost want to cry sometimes at what you see in front of you. So I don't think it's any worse or better than what you'd get elsewhere. Of course, 60 cars on track all at once, that would be fairly chaotic, but gladly, the Silverstone RFactor2 version can only handle 41 cars, so I think we're at almost maximum capacity for this event with 35. Sadly, a few have retired, of course, but only 5 cars adrift at maximum capacity here this evening or this afternoon for this round. Now, Pim van Ark has closed the gap to Lorenzo Ricci. It's now 1.6 seconds between the two of them. So it looks like Lorenzo may be struggling to navigate his way through the traffic, and Pim van Ark is a bit more aggressive. We saw this at Interlagos. He is much more confident with what the LMP2 car can do, and he's more aggressive in almost every aspect when it comes to overtaking some of the GTEs, and it looks like it's paying off for the time being as he re-enters the hangar straight right now. Not in slipstream distance for the time being. Looks like Lorenzo Ricci has finally found some open air to make a getaway. How much are we into the race? Let's have a look. You can use the live timing, which is in the link above. That will tell you how far we are in. We are currently, there's 2 hours and 32 minutes remaining in this event. Look at the speed that Pim van Ark is carrying through turn 1 there. Try and find some more battles for you guys watching on the live stream. Got plenty of them going on at the moment, especially in the lower slots of the GTE order. We go on to the 38 Cheaper Hawk Racing car. They seem to be having battles left, right and centre here this afternoon, with Kieran Sharp currently taking that position away. He's just on the back of Liam Davies, and that is the Cheaper Hawk Racing blue, as you can tell, given by the colour of the front bonnet there. That's what defines or is easy to identify which team it is. But Idos Motorsport there in the number 23, looking to take that position away, and this is for 15th class, 15th in class rather. And now the way that the points work in the WSCC is that we like to give cars behind the top 10 a chance to fight for something other than just overall position. And so what they do is the top 15 cars will actually score points for the round, resulting in points from 1 to possibly 6 for the last 15 cars. So they are fighting for points here, believe it or not, this far down the order. And it just gives some of the teams that aren't as experienced or don't have the particular amount of pace that some of the higher teams do, it gives them something to fight for and to aim for those points in the championship standings. So it gives them their own little championship in itself, so to speak. So that gives them something to look forward to each round. And of course, you know, anything above P15, you're going to be scoring points here at WSCC. The gap has widened quite a considerable amount since we've gone on board with them, so we'll leave them be for the time being. Let's go back to the 39 car, because they're going heel and toe with the 34 guest CFEG car. Going through the village complex now. We've also got the 32 behind as well, in the hands of Arcadis Treba. He's currently in P13 at the moment, and of course looking to get back up into the points. Nice train of GTE cars here. He goes down the inside into Brooklands, gets the job done. The 39 car goes out into P11 as they go down into Luffield. He's having the inside line. The Corvette goes wide. He's trying to get the undercut before they go on to the old start finish. 39 defending, gets a nice exit there out of Luffield and able to defend that position fairly comfortably as they enter Copse Corner. Here comes the 18 car though. He's going to compromise the apex entry for that Porsche, and I see how the Corvette reacts as well. He goes a bit wider on the exit of Copse Corner, down into Magnus and Beck as they go. They've got the 14 Seawolf Netrace Motorsport cars going into the corner as well. They're now down into P5, so they've lost out a further position to Tony Rovida in the Triple S Racing car. Arcadis Treba looking very racy. He's going to try and take the position away from the Corvette C7 as they come down into Stowe. He does so, goes down into the inside line and takes that position away. He's now moved up one position in P12 in class. So in one lap, that Corvette has lost out on 2 positions. Very racy down onto the inside. Looks like 39 is trying to squeeze him just ever so slightly on the entry into turn 1. Side by side they go. Arcadis Treba takes a bit more braking into the apex of that corner. Looks down into the inside, runs onto the grass even as they come down into the village complex of turn 2 and 3. Very brave stuff there. Looks down into the inside of the next corner, thinks better of it. Can't make the move just yet. This is of course for P11 in class in GTE at the moment. 33 of Tony Jansen trying to make his way past as well. Now we are of course approaching the time when the LMP2s will need to come into the pits. I'd expect them to come in within the next 5 minutes or so, but we shall see. we had a warning issue to the number 20 car, causing a collision on lap 1 by locking up into turn 2 and causing the number 1 car to spin. So of course the number 1 car is actually retired from the race. Of course they themselves had an incident with one of the Porsches, I believe it's the 37, as they tried to rejoin, not too sure. And there's a spin for one of the Cheever Hawk racing cars there. That's on the exit of Magnussen Beckett. They're stationary. Seem to be back underway now. You can just see them in the background there with their white and green car. I'm not too sure which one that was. There's so many of them here in the series that I get confused which one is which, and I just have to go by the numbers. Of course, Christopher, we know, in the 37 is in 3rd place, and they've got a fairly comfortable position there. The 43 still leading the way for the GTE class overall. There's no battles going on in the LMP2 field at the moment. We've got Samuel Rovida trying to... Oh, he's actually gone wide on the exit of turn 4 there. Gone onto the grass. That's, of course, going to be an issue for him if he continues to do so. That was on Aintree, of course, before the Wellington Straight. And he's defending against the 5th place car, which is the number 14 Seawolf Netrace Motorsport team, currently being driven by Rob Timpum. Cops corner they go. Bit of a twitchy moment there from the 14 as he tries to get the car turned in just in time. Lost a lot of speed though as he went through that corner into Magnussen Beckett's. Carrying a lot of speed there. Car doesn't appear to be very comfortable over the bumps here at Silverstone, so that may be what's costing them a bit of time, especially through the faster corner. It goes behind Mikhail Nizio, the number 13. He's still in P4 and racing. Oh no, actually Gregos Bulat has gone down the order. Gregos Bulat is in P4, so some issues there for one of the teams. That's the Secura racing car, and Mikhail Nizio is up into 3rd, so not too sure what's happened there, but definitely a mistake or an issue occurring for that BMW team. So that means that Daniel Wisner can breathe just ever so slightly, as the next car down is Chris Servet in the 37 Cheever Hawk car. That's at least 1.5 seconds gap as they try to get these LMP2 cars out of the way. Number 14 has to go wide onto the grass, and he's cutting wide. They're all nearly... I don't know how he missed the back of that number 18 car, but he does by the skin of his teeth. I thought then that there was going to be contact between the two of them, but Seawolf Netrace Motorsport somehow navigate the corner and avoid contact with anyone. Flash of the headlights from the 18 car, trying to get down the inside of the Black Hawk racing team. Number 14 trying to find his way through as well as they move up into P4 now, because of course people are starting to come into the pit lane. Pim van Ark's gone down into 8th place, and that is the case. He's gone into the pits fairly early. So we're expecting him to try and go for the undercut move, possibly on Lorenzo Arisi, because he was about 2 or 3 seconds adrift when he did go into the pit lane. So of course when the LMP2s are due their pit stops, keep an eye on Lorenzo Arisi and see where Pim van Ark comes out. If he's going to take the lead or not is the question after that first round. He's undercutting by quite a fair bit. Of course that will mean though that he has to spend a longer time in the pit lane come his last stop. That means Alexis Clopano and Samuel Rovida move up into 2nd and 3rd respectively for the time being though in the LMP2 field. Back to GTE though, Daniel Wisner navigating his way around Stowe at the moment. And here comes Chris Servet as well in the 37 Cheever Hawk racing car. Across the start finish line for the 20th lap for the GTEs. Gregos Bulat now, his last lap was a 2-minute, Mikhail Nizio's was a 2:02, so we're going to see some action here between these two teams. Of course this is the 13 and the 88. See if we can find the gap between the two of them for you. It's 1.8 seconds. You can just see the 88 in the background there on your screens. So if he wants to hold on to that third place, then he's going to have to be very careful indeed. Now, Mikhail Nizio in the 13 car did win 2 weeks ago after some developments, shall we say, for the 88 and the 43. Both of them actually suffered a lot of damage near the last final stages of the race when it all came together, quite literally, between the two leading GTEs, and that allowed Rapid Racing to take victory at Slovakia Ring 2 weeks ago. So that's 25 points on the board for them. They didn't finish it into Lagos after having some issues, so that is only 25 points on the board for them. But if they can get another strong finish here this evening, they will fly up the leaderboard and championship standings after this afternoon. Now, Lorenzo Arisi has gone into the pit lane. He's currently in P4 at the moment. Whether or not he's back out on track, he is. So he has come into the pit lane. He's made his stop already. And the 83 also goes into the pit lane as well. Pim van Ark is currently in 6th place for the time being. And it's about 4 seconds adrift by the looks of things as he comes across the timing line. Yes, so he's actually lost quite a bit of time after that round of pit stops. Whether or not he ran into some traffic issues, we don't know. But the gap now between the two cars is 4 seconds, so he's lost a fair bit of time on that last pit stop. Still the same drivers though, Lorenzo Arisi and Pim van Ark. They both know that they've got what it takes to keep on almost on par with one another in terms of a lap by lap pace, and it looks like the 41 is more comfortable in traffic conditions as opposed to the 44 of Reborn Racers at this stage. Of course, we've still got 2 hours and 19 minutes to go, so that can change. Let's go towards the GTEs once again if we can find a battle between some of the teams. We've got the Mad Hawk Racing car, which is the number 40, in 10th place at the moment, and they're defending their position from the 32. Trying to move forward up the order as well towards the number 77, that's for 9th place, and that is in the hands of MRT Race F1. Of course, the LMP2's slicing through the traffic as well, going to spice things up fairly nicely for us, and he's gained a lot of ground going into Brooklands and Luffield. The 83 car behind, trying to find his way past. He's going to go onto the inside line, get past these GTE cars. Of course, he needs to find the apex to make sure he doesn't make contact with that very brightly painted blue BMW M8. Some really nice camera angles here at Silverstone. Really captured the speed carried into some of these corners, especially Cops, of course, one of my favourites here at Silverstone. Looks like a mistake for the 77. He goes wide on the exit of Magnussen Beckett, and that's going to cost him the position as the number 40 car goes up into 9th place. He's weaving left and right, maybe struggling with some tyre temperature issues, I'm not too sure, or maybe he's just very glad that he's taken that position away, but he goes up into the top 10. Next car in line is the 82 rookie monster car, currently being driven by Mantis Rikas. They themselves are trying to catch the 86 car as well, who's just up the road by about 0.5 seconds for them, and that's, of course, is in 7th place. Then there's the fairly large gap, of course, to Turga Hakkinen in the 25 car of Vortex Motorsports, and then we have Team RSI in P5 actually, with Daniel Vidamari behind the wheel of the Team RSI car. Then it's the 88, followed by the 13, 37, and the 43 who are leading. Of course, that is back to front. Was a car off in the distance. I think that might be the 14 car, and it is. That is Rob Timpen. Has he just come out of the pit lane? Yes, he has. So issues there, maybe struggling with some tyre temperatures or trying to get away out of the way of some GTE traffic perhaps, but he's down into 8th place now. We've only got one more car who's due the pit stop, and that's Viktor Sokolov in the 61 Iceberg Racing car. He's currently sitting in 3rd place. Of course, he will eventually go down the order when he comes in for some more fuel. Hansa Racing looking to take back that position though, on board with the third place car, which is Iceberg Racing. I wouldn't be surprised if they do come into the pit lane this time by, as they try and hug the inside line. Yes, they do. And that means Fabian Walter in the Hansa Racing 69. Great recovery drive from this team so far in this race, because they're all the way back into third place. So they've regained their qualifying position, which they lost at the beginning, and that was of course because of some confusion about the start-finish line. Obviously some people didn't pay attention in the driver briefing, but we'll let that one slide, and it looks like they've regained all the positions that they lost at the start. In P4 we still have Alexis Clapano there in the background there, about 0.5 seconds, 0.6 seconds adrift, and they're going to be eagerly watching this position, and 69 has to pay attention for the rest of this race, otherwise they will lose that podium position. Going down into GTEs once more, see if we can find some wheel-to-wheel action at this stage of the race. Of course, they're not due their pit stops for quite some time yet. We are 2 hours, we're 50 minutes into this race, so within the next 10 minutes the GTEs will be expected to come into the pit lane and re-top their fuel tanks. Eidos Motorsport are within striking distance of the nitrous oxide motorsport team, and that's the 79 car, which is currently in 27th. So Eidos Motorsport fighting for this position, and they are within the points range now. So they're currently in P15. Of course, we was looking at them last time, and they were just in 16th place, but they've taken that position away from Liam Davies in the 38 Cheeberhort racing car, and looking to go further up the order into P14 as well. So Kieran Sharp looking down onto the outside of Village as he comes into the braking zone, turn 2, and of course a very hard place to overtake if you don't have the defensive line, and into turn 3. So Nitrous Oxide Motorsport trying to defend this position, and in charge of this car is Albino, I think it's Guani, I believe. Probably just butchered that completely. Onboard camera. Now this fighting here, this wheel-to-wheel action between the 79 and the 23 has brought the Cheeberhort racing car back into the mix of things here. So a three-way battle for P14. We'll keep on board with these guys for a short while. And Chris Vert in the 37 car has taken the lead of the race, and that is a fairly early stop by the 43 Black Hawk Racing car then, if they have come in for a tyre change. Yes, they are. So Black Hawk Racing are in the pit lane. The 43 leading GTE, driven by Daniel Wisner, has decided that they want to come into the pits this early on. Strategic move there, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see how that develops. And that has allowed the 37 to take the lead of the race in GTE. Macau Nizio moves up into second, and Gregos Bulat into third. Speaking of which, let's see if we can find the gap between those two guys. It is still 1.2 seconds between them, so no improvement there by the 88. They're not able to regain or catch up to Macau Nizio for this time being. Still following this three-way Porsche battle though. Bit of a seizure there from the 79. The 23 could have took advantage there by going down the inside, or at least looking to see if he could take advantage, just in case the 79 overbraked himself and went wide on the apex, which it looks like he did just slightly, and it could have been an opportunity there, but easily missed. If you're on the outside line, it's quite hard to change course once you're committed to the corner. And here comes the 38 down the inside into Brooklands. Position taken away, and Eidos Motorsport moved and demoted down into 16th in class. They don't have any points on the board. If that's their current position, the 38 makes a mistake, spinning round, and has contact. No fault there from the number 23, and he's trying to get out of the way, but they're all stationary at the moment. A very dangerous situation to be in. Of course, all the LMP2 cars, looking on the live timings, a fair bit of traffic coming through the corner now. It looks like they all just get underway again just in the nick of time before the LMP2 cars arrive. That's going to cost them a hell of a lot of time, and in fact They've even gone down into 17th place because Daniel Ersling in the 87 F1 Bros Racing BMW has moved up into P15. So they've both lost out on those hard-fought positions. Now Kieran Sharp has got to worry about an attack from behind as well, because there is another Cheaper Hawk racing car behind in 18th place, and there's a fair bit of damage to the front of that Porsche, which is a sad way to end. Of course, again, nothing he could have done. He was mid-apex, and the 38 just seems to have lost the rear end on the entry to Luffield and spun around and become stationary fairly quickly. It's a fairly slow corner, but it's very hard to get right and very hard to master, because you're always thinking about the exit speed on the old pit straight, and can easily go wrong on the exit of Woodcote, of course. Now Reborn Racers, the leading car, Reborn Racers number 44, still being driven by Lorenzo Arisi, has extended the lead now to around 10 seconds to the 41 Fair Racing car. So really turning up the pace here for the LMP2 class, and it looks like maybe Pim van Ark has no answers for him at the moment. So he'll continue to extend and take advantage of this situation and just secure that lead just that bit more, just that bit extra every time he goes across that start-finish line. Triple S Racing, though, are fighting with, by the looks of things, the 69 car with Samuel Ravida. Yes, he is. So he's looking to progress up the order into P4. The 69 car has been demoted by Alexis Clepano into 4th place, so we missed that overtake. That was, of course, between the two cars. Even the number 20 is way down the road there, just entering Maggotts and Beckett's, and about 2-second lead over the Hansa Racing car. So it is an overtake that we did sadly miss, and that means that Alexis Clepano and the AMBU car are securing that last remaining podium spot for the LMP2 field. But the 69 car has further issues. Semi Ravida is on a charge for Triple S Racing, looking to take those extra few points away. And then in P6 we've got Tony Jansen as well in the 33 car, and of course that's the sister Fair Racing team, but they're further down the order by around 10 seconds or so. There's even battles going on between Seawolf Netrace Motorsport, TCS Off Racing and the Rookie Monster team as well. So we'll have a look at these guys. 3 LMP2 cars going at it as well, and this is for 7th, 8th and 9th place as Rob Timpen goes wide on the exit of Stowe, and down into Vale they go. Liam Rance trying to take advantage of the situation in the TCS Off Racing car. Not able to get past this time by, but he is a lot closer now as they enter the start-finish straight. Into turn 1 they go. The Cheaper Hawk Racing Porsche gets out of the way. Of course, this is the battle that we were viewing just a few moments ago. And always a mistake from Rob Timpen. Slides in between the Cheaper Hawk Racing and Idols Motorsport car, and luckily no contact, no one was collected as far as the GTEs are concerned. And that's going to cost him 2 positions as he moved down into 9th place now. So TCS Off Racing and the Rookie Monster 83 go up into 7th and 8th place respectively. I think it was just too much on the brakes there for that LMP2 car, the number 14, and it just meant that the rear seized up, had nowhere to go, of course, because all the GTEs were left, right and centre, and it got spun around fairly easily. Now we've got the 43 car way down the order here at the moment. Not too sure what's happened to them in the grand scheme of things, because we was expecting them to be way up the order by now. They're currently sitting in 9th place. Kaseba Kiss currently in charge. They've done their driver change, they've done their pit stop, and still they're in 9th place, whereas Gregor Spielat has come in for his pit stop and he's in 6th. So not too sure what's happened there between the 88 and the 43. Chris Savert still needs to come into a pit lane. We'll run through those just quickly for you guys watching. So just to clarify, Chris Savert is in the lead of the race of GT3, but he still needs to make a pit stop. Nizio in the 13 car, Rapid Racing, they still need to make a pit stop. Jamie Lopez in the 86 and the 82 behind in 4th still need to conduct a pit stop as well. Daniel Vidamari in the number 2 Team RSI car is showing us actually already conducted a pit stop, and they're in P5 at the moment, so they may move up the order as well. And according to what my top live timing is saying, they should be racing with the 88 Secura Racing team as of now. Let's have a look between the gap between those two teams. It's around 4 seconds at the moment. In fact, Team RSI are about to catch up to the Rookie Monster team. If we just quickly have an onboard view of these guys. So going against Rookie Monsters once again. Now, I don't think he goes down the inside into Vale, so nice job done there, and he secures that position back up into P4 for them. Now I want to see what happened to the 43 Blackhawk Racing car, so we're going to bring up their last lap times. It'll take me a while to investigate this, so you have to bear with me a few seconds, but I'll try and get to the bottom of this situation. So he changed on lap 24. That's when he got out of the car, or sorry, got into the car and continued his race. Unfortunately, I don't have information regarding Daniel Visner, who was obviously the previous driver for this team, but there's nothing out of the ordinary that I can see. So I'm slightly confused, if I'm truly honest, as to why the Blackhawk Racing has fallen down the order so quickly. Maybe they can come into the commentary box and maybe explain. Maybe it's part of their tactic, I don't know. But it's thrown me off a bit after... Oh, we've actually got a drive-through penalty for the 41 after causing a collision. So that is the Pim van Ark. So that is not good news for them. That was issued at 3:43, so that was 2 minutes ago, so it is relevant and up to date. So not good news for the second place car. This is going to be good news, of course, for the number 20 and the rest of the LMP2 field, who are on the same lap at this stage as well. So that's going to throw them down the order and cause them a few issues. Doesn't say which car they collided with, unfortunately. But wow, okay, so Team RSI now into 3rd place as they take away the position from Jamie Lopez in the 86 car. So a really strong performance there from Team RSI. The 88 Secura Racing car is right on the tail of these guys as well. And the next car in competition is Nizio, who's just up the road, but still, according to our live timing, needs to conduct a pit stop. He's going down the outside of the, or the inside rather, of the 81 Rookie Monster Porsche, who's not for position. I say again, it's not for position. They are blue flag at this stage, but everyone else behind is currently for takes. Now the 88 dives down the inside line, down into Village Turn 2, and takes that position away as well. So Gregos Bulat really on an aggressive charge at the moment and taking these positions away left, right and centre, and he's back into P3, or P4 rather, as well. Now we're in a similar situation as to last season. We saw this throughout every single race. It was Team RSI against Secura Racing, or what was then Poland Sim Racing. So these guys know exactly what the other is capable of, and it seems that Secura Racing have the advantage. They're leading the championship at this stage. Team RSI not having much luck in the championship thus far, but it looks like they may have rectified their issues this round here at Silverstone, because they're really putting in a strong performance and into P3. Now the question is, can Gregos Bulat get close enough to the back of that Porsche to take away that podium position? He's looking very racy coming into Maggots and Beckett's at the moment. And David says the 41 car, so the Pim van Ark and the Fair Racing team have received the penalty after colliding with the 36. So it was that's another That's a Cheaper Hawk racing car, I do believe. So that's one of the Porsches. And he goes down to the inside into Stowe, takes the inside line. How will Daniel Vidamari defend? He's holding the outside line very nicely and holds on to the position for the time being. They're going too wide into Vale, though, and towards Club Corner. Looks like Daniel Vidamari has the advantage for the time being. Secura Racing looking down the inside line into Club Corner, not able to get the job done and tucked back behind that Porsche of Team RSI. The number 2 car hanging on in there for the time being. That's a little peek down the inside line into turn 1, but thinks better of it. A bit more speed carried through the apex there and lost a bit of time, maybe struggling, having to come off the throttle. And 0.3 seconds, there's the 79 nitrous oxide Porsche in the way, decides to move to one side. Very wise decision indeed. Doesn't want to get involved in the lead or the battle between these two GTE cars. Let's go on board with Gregor Bulat inside his cockpit. It's a fairly large gap as he came out of turns 4 onto the straight. So lost some time on Wellington Straight. Down to Brooklands they go. One of the fair racing cars slicing in between. Gap has extended ever so slightly. Now, where is Mikhail Nizio? Because he's disappeared off my screen. Okay, so he's conducted a driver change. So Camille is now in charge of the rapid racing car. And yeah, so they've gone down the order into P6, which is exactly where the 43 car is currently sitting, which is where we expect them to be. So the Black Hawk racing car and the 13 are alongside each other. Let's have a look, see if we can get the gap for you. It is 6 seconds between them at present, so not as close as we thought it would be, but still fairly close when bringing everything into consideration. Now we've got the 82 Rookie Monster car falling down the order. He's in P26 at the moment, so looks like there might be issues for that LMP2 team. We've actually got quite a few DNFs so far. 1, 2, 3, 4 cars that have DNF so far. Kieran Sharp in the Eidos Motorsport car has decided to retire the Porsche after presumably that shunt with the 38, but the 38 is still going strong with Liam Davies still in charge. They're back up to P14 now, so able to get back into the points. Now, in order for Rapid Racing to get back onto the back of the 43, they're going to have to overtake the 86 car, who is in between them for the time being. Gregor Bulat still hanging on to the back of Team RSI's number 2 Porsche there as he enters Magnus and Beckett's once more. Now Team RSI are actually leading the race as things stand. Now let's have a look at the time, see if we can find out when they went into the pit lane, because it's been an amazing strategic move here by Daniel Vidamari if he's been able to get this done. So their on lap 23, they did a 2-minute 29 lap time, which sounds about right because of course they do change the tyres and refill the cars at the same moment, although that is with the recent update. I think that was actually taken away. Another warning issued for the 88 for unsafe entry after recovering from contact with the number 20. So that is the car that is in front of us right now. So, and the number 20, of course, is Alexis Klapano and the AMBU car. So just got to watch that re-entry in case they find themselves with a penalty. So it's a fairly early lap time, or a fairly early pit stop there from Team RSI. It's definitely some strategic move going on or unfolding in front of us. Maybe they've used their splash and dash at the start of the race and they're going to drop down the order at the end perhaps. Lorenzo Risi still in charge of the race for the LMP2 field. Also got a battle between Samuel Rovida and the Hansa Racing car as well. Going to flip back quickly to that battle between Daniel Vidimari and Greg Spillett because he seemed to have a good drive. Yes, he does. They're too wide going down the hanger straight towards Stowe. Daniel Vidimari defending on the inside line. The BMW has a slight advantage. Cuts across the nose of the number 2 car. There's a slight bit of contact, maybe a bit aggressive there from Gregor Spillett, but luckily no incident was caused. And oh, Daniel Vidimari goes wide. Looking to maybe get a braking advantage from some of the guys, and just doesn't work out as he seizes the car. A bit of a tank slapper as the rear of the Porsche turns around and he goes off onto the runoff area towards pit entry. Luckily not many cars coming back into track limits on Club Corner. But that means Gregor Spillett moves into the lead of the race. Chris Servet moves into second. Daniel Vidimari loses out on 2 positions in 1 corner. And of course you've got the car behind, which is the Black Hawk Racing car as well, in the form of Kazebekis. And he's looking to take away that podium position. Then we have Camille in the 13 Rapid Racing car there in the background there as well. So not good news there for Daniel Vidimari. Go back to the battle between Fabian Walter and Triple S Racing as well. Then this is Hansa Racing and Triple S Racing going toe to toe, and this is for 4th place in class for the LMP2s. We are beyond the 1 hour mark, 1 hour and 11 minutes into this race. Not long left. We're a third through the race duration. Of course, 3 hours here this afternoon at Silverstone before we go for the Christmas break. 0.3 seconds between Triple S Racing and Hansa Racing as they come onto the exit of Luffield. Through Woodcote they go and down towards Copse Corner. A lot of GTE traffic on the outside line, trying to squeeze through as much as they can. This is for P4, of course, and of course all of these GTEs are fighting for position as well. That's the 82 Corvette C7 from Rookie Monsters as well, and they're trying to hold on to their position. And that's the 77, I believe, as well. The let's have a look, see where they are. That's the F1 MRT Race F1 BMW. So that's all for position, and hanging on in there with all they've got. Let's have a look at Team RSI, because they're going wheel to wheel with Saber Kiss in the 43 Black Hawk Racing car, too wide at the moment, going through Luffield, trying to ease back on the power. Of course, they've got the Iceberg Racing team and the 14 Netrace Motorsport car, and that's a really big moment there for those LMP2 teams as they try and navigate their way around this GTE traffic. Got to be extremely careful. Oh, and there's a tap. That was a very cheeky manoeuvre there from the Iceberg Racing car. That is completely not acceptable there. Just completely sideswipes the 43 and I don't understand why that was done by Viktor Sokolov in the 61 car, and that's caused the rear end, and that BMW is completely and utterly damaged on every single scale. They really went into the barrier at high speed there, and that is, I don't understand if that was on purpose or not. That would definitely need to be reviewed by the race stewards, and if it was found to be on purpose, that has got to be a race ban for the next round, because that is completely not on. Now the 43 is struggling in every way by looks of things. Their the car is driving sideways just in order to make it round the track circuit, and yeah, definitely something that needs to be reviewed immediately. That may even be a black flag situation, I don't know. Obviously, I don't have the full information. The camera view is down low, and we can't see how alongside the Iceberg Racing won, whether it was a misjudgment of how far alongside they was. Of course, we saw him flashing his headlights and trying to navigate his way around as he was fighting with the 14 car. But, yeah, there's not really much more I can say on that one. So we'll move on, try and find some other action on track. Bilak still leading the way in the GTE class. He's extended his gap to about 2.9 seconds, which is where you will find the 37 Cheaperhawk Racing car still being driven by Chris Evert at the moment. And then Team RSI, of course, moving up into P3 after the 43 is retired. So crashing out into the background there is the 61 car, I believe, with Viktor Sokolov. Yes, he is. He's at the exit of Luffield, so not much luck for him. Doesn't seem to have suffered too much damage after the incident. Of course, you've got the damage there on the rear left-hand side where he's recently made contact with the 43. Let's have a look down the order, see if we can find... Well, Hansa Racing are still fighting with Triple S Racing, looking going down into Kopp's corner. This is once again for 4th place in class. Seems to be losing a lot of time on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's, but seems to be gaining elsewhere. So evenly matched for the time being. Last lap times were both 1:47s. Looks like Temi Revido is a few tenths quicker on the last lap round, but obviously not enough to take that position away as of yet. But looking very competitive for the time being, and no doubt that will happen in the next few moments or so. Let's have a look at the 32, which is in the hands of... where are they? They're currently the 32 car. Someone called Alan. So I'm not sure who Alan is, but apparently they don't have a surname. But Alan is currently in 8th place, and he's under attack by the 34 car, which is in 9th. That's the Guest Corvette C7, and that's being driven by Rocco Scarviti still. So he's still yet to make a driver change for them. TCS off racing car going down the inside line. It's going to cost Takava Virtual Racing a few tenths, but luckily the saving grace is that the 83 Rookie Monster LMP2 car is on the inside to make sure that they don't take advantage of the situation. There's quite a few LMP2s coming through here at the moment, and the 34 goes wide on the exit of the loop, and which is turn 4. Back to normality for the 32 then. A bit of breathing space for the time being. Let's have a look at the number 14 car. Of course, they had issues. Really good start to the race. In the hands of Rob Timpen. He's still in charge of the number 14 car, but sadly they've been moving down the order as the race has progressed, and now in P10 as a result. Now they've got the number 7 car in the hands of Claudio Sousa ahead, and that will allow them to move up into P9, which is a few extra points on the board if they can get the job done. But 0.2 or 3 seconds before they can get that done, and he's looking, had a second thought before he committed to the inside line of Copse Corner, able to get the job done, but luckily the Porsche conceded and gave room, otherwise that would have been a very nasty mess. Gregor Spilat is still leading the way for the GTE field for the time being. Of course, different strategies are unfolding here, especially in the hands of Team RSI, so that's definitely going to be one team to look out for. And interestingly, Chris Servet is right on the tail of the 88 Secura Racing team, so we could have a lead change in GTE coming up very shortly. Let's have a look at their last lap times. 158 rather. 0.9 for Gregor Spilat and 158.052 for Chris Servet. So it's 0.8 seconds quicker that last lap time around. And let's see if they can get just that extra bit closer and take the lead of this race. Of course, they did qualify first in class, so they have the potential to be the fastest car here. But of course, overtaking is not as easy as it seems. Onboard with the 37 then. Screaming Porsche going through Copse Corner, always a lovely sound to hear. One of the best sounding cars in modern motorsport, in my personal opinion. It just, you know it's coming along. You hear it a mile in advance. 41 trying to get around these LMP2 cars as best he can. Triple S Racing are close behind as well. Is that for position? Yes, it is. Triple S Racing, who are currently in P4, they've got past Hansa Racing and now trying to take P3 away. So Samuel Ravida on a really strong charge at the moment, and he may be even about to go up into a podium position. Now, Cliff van der Ven is currently in charge of the 41 car, so that might explain a few things. Of course, they did have to serve a drive-through as well, and that's brought them off the second place position, which is currently being held by Alexis Lupano in the ANBU car. A lot of speed being carried into turn 1 there by Chris Servet. He's looking very pacey at the moment, and he might be about to take first place in GTE. He was 0.3 seconds quicker the last lap around as he looks down into the inside of turns 4. Can't get close enough, but quickly on the power he goes as they come onto the Wellington Straight. 0.3 seconds separating these two guys at the moment. It is really close at this stage of the race. Of course, it's still a long way to go, only 1 hour and 22 minutes into this event. much closer this time by, but he will have the long straight, of course. Hanger straight before he gets to Stowe. There's plenty of time for the slipstream to come into effect and hopefully gain a few tenths before the braking zone. Doesn't look like it will happen this time by, unfortunately, though. Not closer this time by, though, still 0.4 seconds as they come into Brooklands for another time. Let's have a look elsewhere, see if there's any further or closer battles going on or developing down the order. We have the 77 MRT Racing F1 car going toe-to-toe with the Chiba Hawk 39, so that might be something to keep an eye on as well. And that is for 6th place in class. So we'll have a quick look at these guys. Of course, this is for the mid-pack in GTE, currently being driven by Victor Orilla and Rocco Scarvita. So that is the new C7 on grid as well. So a lot of stuff going on. Of course, you've got the Chiba Hawk 39 car ahead at the same time. So you've got quite a few battles developing here down the order. Nice to see the 43 of Daniel Wisner still going on. And here is a 10-second stop-and-go penalty for the 61 car after causing a major avoidable collision and severely damaging the 43. So they had to stop and go. Of course, the 61 car is in 13th place in LMP2 as it is, so they're still going to score points here this evening. But that was a really nasty collision there that took out the 43, and you know, I think sometimes that's the problem when it's a back marker car and they still cause a severe accident like that. No matter what penalty you give them, it's not going to change their race result. In fact, it's just going to bring them off the lead lap ever so more. So they're still going to finish in 13th place by the looks of things, because they've already had issues this round. And I'll be very surprised if they progress up the order into the top 10 in LMP2. But of course, everyone that's below them, we've got Eidos Motorsport that started with us here this evening. We've got several other teams that have sadly DNF'd, including the Black Hawk racing car, in fact. So looks like Black Hawk as a whole having a very bad experience here at Silverstone. The 88 Secura racing car is now 0.8 seconds ahead of Chiba Hawk Racing, so the gap has extended just ever so slightly. And in fact, just to Team RSI is around 12 seconds as well, so a fairly large gap to the leading cars. This is the next battle down in GTE. And having a look in LMP2 at the same time as well, there's not much battles going on between these guys for the time being. No doubt it'll all come to a head in the last half hour or so, as it usually does for these guys. Trying to get some battles on screen for you. 77 is the closest battle that we've got on track for the time being, and of course this is the part of the race now where the LMP2s will be thinking about their next set of pit stops as well. just staying on board with the 77 for the time being. We do have a battle developing between the number 7 guest car and the 83, and that's for 8th placing class, currently being driven by Hugh North. So if we go over to them, and the reason they're actually going down the order is because they're in the pit lane, so that explains that one. So that means that Paul Holt, Rob Timpen go up the order into 6th and 7th, as does Liam Rance in the 55 TCS off racing car. The 83 driven by Hugh North down into 9th at the moment, so that is another pit stop conducted for them. Lorenzo Risi still leading the way, the leading LMP2 car just coming down the hanger straight now. Has to be said, it's quite a demanding and controlling performance by this team, as always. Lorenzo Risi, of course, is extremely quick, and he's leading the number 41 Fair Racing team by around 20 or so seconds. Of course, the Fair Racing team did get a drive through after making contact with one of the GTE cars, so that has most likely taken them out of contention of this race. And you have to go down by an entire minute and a half before you get to the next car, which is the number 20 AMBU car, currently being driven, or no, even they've just come into the pit lane, so that's just changed as well. So teams definitely coming in for their next stops in the LMP2 class. Samuel Rovida then moving up into 3rd place for the time being in the Triple S Racing 18. Of course, we did have a battle on our hands between Gregor Spilet and Chris Servet in the leading GTE. That still has not changed. There are about 0.8 seconds between the two cars, and I'll be very surprised if that actually changes before the next pit stops. They've still got half an hour left for the GTE cars, unless they decide to change their tactics. But they've still got a fairly large stint to do on this set of tyres. Daniel Vidamari still hanging on to 3rd place in the number 2 Team RSI car as well. And then we have Turkka Häkkinen, Vortex Sim Sports, moving up into 4th, with Camille in Rapid Racing in 5th. See how far these guys are away from each other as well. So you've got around 16 seconds between Chiba Hort Racing and Team RSI. Of course, we know that they are on a different strategy, so we need to keep an eye on that. The Vortex Sim Sport car, they are around 17 seconds behind Team RSI, so a fairly large gap. And then you have Rapid Racing around 5 seconds adrift of them as well. Oh, we've got the number 77. The number 77 has gone down into 14th place. So they were in 7th, but they've gone down to 14th, and that's because they've just DNF'd. So they're in the garage now, which is unfortunate. Bad news for them. Not too sure what's caused that, but it's not a way you want to finish the race, is it? And there's another warning for the 33. Contact with the 25 car while overtaking. So that is, of course, lap traffic. Now the 25 is Vortex Sim Sports with Turkka Häkkinen behind the wheel. And the 33 is the sister car for Fair Racing. So that's currently in the hands of Paul Holt, and they're in 7th place in class. Doesn't seem to be much damage to the Vortex Sim Sports car, luckily. As we approach the midway point of this race, well, we have just elapsed the midway point of this race. 1.5 hours remaining here at round 3 of the World Sports Car Challenge at Silverstone. We're going to go for a quick commercial break, guys, for 5 or so minutes while all of the teams begin to settle down. We'll keep on board with Gregor Spilat and Chris Servet. Well, actually, we might actually just stay for a few more moments, because the gap has actually gone down between the 37 and the 88 before we go for our break, so give it a few more moments, see if the situation develops. It could well be that we have a lead change here in a few seconds. It's now 0.4 seconds as they come through turn 1. Down into Village they go. Heavy on the brakes there by Chris Severt. Really brave stuff, but it's taking advantage and using all the tarmac available to make sure that he is in position. And the number 40 just teleported into that track position, so that's cost a lot of time for the number 37. Looks like there may be damage, in fact, to the front wing of that Porsche. Looks like there is. It looks a bit crumpled up, and that's just I don't know why sim racing does that. Of course, that's due to connection issues, and they just teleport or leapfrog, as it's well known, into their current positions, which is a shame. And hopefully that hasn't destroyed or damaged the ability of the 37 car. But the gap has now extended to 1.9 seconds. So bad news there. So it was up to 0.4 seconds, of course. In RFactor2's glory, it has to throw a spanner in the works. It's a battle between Taco Viper Virtual Racing and the 40 car, though. So we'll go on board with these guys. Taco Viper Virtual Racing in 10th place currently, looking to progress up into 9th. He's got the slipstream as they come onto the hangar straight. Will he have enough speed to get past into Stowe, though? Looking down the inside line, he gets the move done too wide as they enter the apex of the corner. Taco Viper looking slightly slower on the corner exit. Of course, he has to tuck into the inside line, which allows the defending car to run and use all of the track available. And looks down into, wow, he's going to look down into the inside to Club Corner, gets the job done, and into P9. Will the 40 come back at him on the main straight, though, because we've got a lot of LMP2 traffic here trying to make its way down into the apex of turn 1. And nearly contact there between one of the Fair Racing cars, in fact both of them coming through turn 1 at the same time. The 41 leading the 33. And we've got another position. I think that may have been one of the other cheaper Hawk Racing cars, but it was not for position. So again, 32 holding on to that 9th place, but the 40 is still in P10. Right, okay, that seems to be most of the action over and done with for the time being. So we are going to go for a quick commercial break, guys. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back with the remaining half of the 3 hours of Silverstone. welcome back to the live stream. We are at round 3 of the World Sports Car Challenge at the sunny but very cold Silverstone circuit. 1 hours already into the race and just under 1.5 hours to go. Of course, it's the last time the teams have, or the last opportunity that they have to score some points before we break up for Christmas and 2018. And of course, beyond that, it is where the championship really spices up with the likes of Le Mans, Sebring, Daytona and more. But of course, right now we have a race to do, and it's fully underway and in swing. And at the moment, we're currently following Hugh North and Liam Rance, and this is a battle in LMP2 for 7th place in class. This is TCS Off Racing and the rookie monster LMP2 car, and they're really going for it at this stage of the race. We still have elsewhere in GTE the 88 of Secura Racing in the lead of class, and 3 seconds behind is the 37 car being driven by Chris Severt. So a bit of a gap, an advantage there for the 88, still being driven by Gregor Spielat for the time being, and currently on track. This is the closest battle that we have unfolding before us. Of course, at this stage of the race, this is the part of the event where everything calms down slightly. People start thinking of the end game, where they want to be, when they want to come into the pit lane, and just about managing that traffic. Of course, this is the part of the race where they're employing their strategies as best as they can. Of course, if any battles unfold, it's great for us to watch up here from the commentary box, but for them down there, all it really does is slow them down. So they're not really interested in going wheel to wheel or toe to toe with one another. They just want to be able to set as many lap times as possible, as quickly as possible. And you have the 1, 2, 3 rookie monster cars in camera shot there, all going down the hanger straight. That's a really nice shot there. This time though, the rookie monster cars go around the outside of Stowe and gets the job done. He moves up into P7, although no, he doesn't, because TCS Off Racing really put the hammer down on the brakes, going into the braking zone into Vale, and hold that position just by a slither. Liam Rance then defending very well as they re-enter turn 1. This is lap 55 of the race. Only 2 cars on the lead lap, which is Lorenzo Arisi and Cliff van der Veen, 44 and 41 respectively. The rest of the cars all seem to be on lap 55, or a lap down off the leader of LMP2. In GTE though, it looks far more competitive, as you have the top 9 cars all on the lead lap of this race. And it looks like Gregor Spilak has come into the pit lane. Yes, he has, because Chris Severt has gone into the lead of GTE in the 37 car. Of course, they did have that small moment where the number 40 teleported into position and caused them slight damage, but it doesn't seem to have affected their overall performance, which is good to see. Last lap was a 159.181, so that's pretty much on pace and what we're expecting to see here this afternoon. Let's go back to the battle between Liam Rance and the rookie monster 83 car though. Still 0.5 seconds between the two of them as they come down onto hanger straight once again. Nice bit of clear track ahead of them, with the exception of course with the Porsche Chiba Hawk car ahead. Come at the right time as he re-enters the start-finish straight. This is going to be advantage rookie monsters because he had to come off the power, otherwise he would have collided with the rear of that Porsche. So he should have really waited just a bit, just come off the power just slightly, so he could really hammer down the throttle on the start-finish straight. But as a result, the rookie monster LMP2 car has gained a few tenths before the entry into turn 1. Now 0.3 seconds as they come out of the exit of turn 3 and Village. Down Wellington straight towards Brooklands, heavy on the brakes. 79 nitrous oxide car is in the way. They're currently in P14, so they've gone up by a few positions from the last time that we saw them. They weren't even on the first top 30, but Massimiliano Ferrari in charge of that car currently and within the points. .2 seconds at the end of Copse Corner. Looks like Ricky Monsters have a slight advantage in pace for the time being, at least at this stage of the race. Will it be enough though to take that position away and get those few extra points on that championship leaderboard? Of course, there is still 1 hour and 17 minutes remaining in this event, or sorry, 1 hour and 12 minutes remaining rather. Not much change there as he re-enters the village complex. Through the loop they go, turn 4, still in P7 for the time being. Looks through, let's see if we can find some other battles developing through the order. I don't think they're going to get as close as this one in front of us though, especially at this stage of the race. Unfortunately, it's just how these things unfold. Hansa Racing are only 2 seconds adrift of Triple S Racing, and that's currently in the hands of Samuel Rovida still, so he's still in charge of the car, as is Fabian Walter as well in the 69 car, so they're both going strong. Obviously no issues there in terms of fatigue or tiredness. Silverstone is a fairly demanding track. You can have a few rests in between the corners, but combinations such as Maggots and Beckett's, the club and village complexes as well, they can become quite a handful if you're not paying attention. So that's why, and as we just say, the 83 goes wide on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's, so issues arising there, and just displays, or sorry, it's the exit of Chapel, should I say rather. But just goes to show that it is hard to get these corners correctly, especially at speed that these LMP2 cars are carrying as well. He's got to do all of that work again now. It's back down to 0.5 seconds as they come across the start-finish line. And of course that's not the result that he would have wanted. He wants to take that position away and drive into the distance and create some form of margin or gap before the next round of pit stops come along. And he's side by side on the exit of the loop. That's a great move there. Got a lot of speed carried in and just went deep into the corner, undercut onto the inside line, and is able to power away. But they're still side by side going into Brooklands right now. He will be able to hold the inside, which is the line you want, because that means you can run wide onto Luffield, which is the next corner, and that's that position taken away. TCS Off Racing moved down the order into 8th place, and Hugh North up into 7th. Team RSI in the background there, currently in P5 in class. Alessio Filito now in charge of that Porsche, so they have made their final, or sorry, one of their final pit stops. They're on a completely different strategy compared to everyone else, because they've pitted at a very odd time. See if we can actually look into that and see if we can decipher what exactly is going on. And the Rookie Monsters car is off, and I believe that was contact. Yes, we heard a crunch and a smash. That is not good news, and I think that may be game over for the 83 car. They're going down the order as we speak, down into P8 now. And yep, they've retired. They've gone into the garage. So I'm not too sure what happened there. We didn't have the right camera angle to see that, but another one to be investigated by the race stewards. more like a mystery, that one, isn't it? We didn't see anything that happened. We just saw the 83 go wide and into the barrier. At the time that it was happening, I was looking at my live timing anyway. So as a commentator, I do think we should be born with four eyes, 2 sets of eyes, so we can watch several screens at once, because I've got 3 screens up at the moment and it's absolute chaos here. It's organised chaos, and I'd basically just go with the flow as best as I can. But here comes Hansa Racing. They're catching up with Triple S Racing in the 18 car, so something has happened there between Samuel Rovida and Fabian Walter. It's closed the gap quite considerably, so not too sure what's happened, but we may have another battle here. This is for 3rd in class, so this is definitely one to watch. Gap has extended ever so slightly. Now it's about 2.5 seconds. So Samuel Rovida obviously just held up in a bit of traffic there, or was either having a break at the side of the circuit. He's decided to wake up now and put his foot back down to the floor, because that gap is extending quite quickly. Chris Severt still in the lead of this race for the time being. He's got a lead of 29 seconds, which is a bit of a shock to the system. Let's see if we can actually find out what his lap times are and when he's due in for another pit stop compared to the 88s. Okay, so looking into Chris Severt's lap times, he's currently on lap 55, which is completely normal. And he came into the pit lane on lap 30. And he hasn't made a stop since. So he's still due to come into the pit lane one further time before we even consider going to the end of this race. Of course, there is just over an hour left in this event, 1 hour and 4 minutes to be exact, before we get to the checkered flag. Now, Adam in the 88 has obviously conducted his driver change fairly early on, so we're expecting the 88 to retake the lead of this race. Apologies for the hiccups. They came into the pit lane on lap 50, so 5 laps prior. So I'm expecting the 88 to retake the lead by around 5 to 7 seconds, but we will see how quickly they can get their driver change done. We've got another DNF'd, and that is the... oh, sorry, that's still the rookie monster car. They're just taking their time. They're jolly good timing going down the order, but I thought that was a further casualty for this afternoon, but it's not. Rapid Racing could be about to have a fight with Vortex Sim Sports. Here we go. This is going to be for 3rd place, and he has got the inside line and he has got the edge as they go into Brooklands corner. Nice driving there from Camille as Rapid Racing go up into 3rd class. Turkka Hakkinen defending, but not enough. It doesn't choose the inside line, which is very surprising going into Brooklands. Maybe he thought he was going to be able to carry the speed on the outside line, which of course would then mean he can defend the inside line for Lovefields. But Rapid Racing really getting away quite quickly here Now 0.7 seconds as they come out of Kopp's corner, so maybe some issues there for Turkey Hakkinen and the 25 car, not too sure. BMW getting away quite nicely now. We've dragged David Buckley, our live marshal for this afternoon, into the commentary box. And how's your time been so far this afternoon, Dave?
Busy. Rather busy. We've had a few incidents being reported. Most of them obviously end up with either just warnings, drive-thrus or whatever. But yeah, been kept on my toes at least.
Well, I blame you entirely for this situation, because you said, oh, it's Silverstone, it's a fairly wide track and we shouldn't have many issues. And of course, ever since you've said that, everything's gone to hell. But
well, they clearly made these cars a bit wider than the last time we raced them.
yeah, I think they've all just gone to the factory and added a few inches on either side of the wheel arches by the looks of things. But we've had a few incidents where we haven't had a great view up here in the commentary box. We've pretty much just caught the end of all of the major incidents. But what happened with the Iceberg Racing incident with the 43? Because of course the 43 is the second place car in GTE in the form of Black Hawk Racing, and then it seemed like they were overtaking into Kopp's corner and then they just swooped back down onto the racing line again. So you know, now that you've had a chance to gawk at the incident for a good few minutes, do you mind unravelling that one for us?
Yeah, from my view, it looked like the Iceberg car misjudged his speed and his distance going past the Black Hawk car, so he thought he was past, turned in to take the racing line and just caught the Black Hawk car and it sent him into the wall. So yeah, they clearly weren't looking properly in the mirrors when that happened.
No, it's a shame. Of course, Black Hawk Racing was in the running for at least the top podium finish. Not trying to rub it in, of course, but it's just one of them things. And also we had the 83 Rookie Monster LMP2 car retire recently. We saw it in a big puff of smoke, and it went through the gravel trap at the end of Stowe, and then poof, it just vanished. So have you had to look at that one yet?
Yep. From the view of missed the breaking point and continued straight on. But looking at in Discord in the chat, they had a VR firmware update at the end of the straight. So the car just carried on because they were all tapped and hit the wall and went basically just retired straight away. Looks like they've managed to rejoin the race now going forward. So hopefully they can continue. They've lost a few places in a few laps, but at least they're still going.
Don't you just love it when you get updates? I remember I've probably told this story on stream about 1,000 times by now, but I remember when we was at Sebring 12 hours a while ago, and we was in first place for the good 3 or 4 hours, and it was in GT3, so we was really going at it. It was like, yeah, we're gonna win this. We've got at least half a lap advantage over everyone else, and they're all on the same strategy as us, and all this and all blah blah blah. And it was quite handy. And I remember saying that something came up on my screen. It said update, and obviously you panic and you just click back onto iRacing. It gets rid of it, and you go, right, whatever, just go away. I'm busy. And it was due near the end of the pit stop as it was. There was about 5 to 8 minutes left before I was due to come into the pit lane and hand over to Danny. And he was sitting there ready. He's like, yeah, it's all looking good, mate. Yeah, don't worry about it. And then, out of nowhere, 1 minute before I was due to come into the pit lane, he even said, do you want to come in this lap or the next lap? And I said, I'll come in next lap. And on that very lap, I got an update. It just said, restarting now. Our updates are important for you, whatever Microsoft say. I was just like, no. Well, that wasn't my exact language. It was much more fruitful, I think. But
non-appetizer friendly.
Yeah, it's not stream friendly, the language that I use. But I was not happy at all, and I think we might have came third or second overall. So we still had a fairly nice result, but wow, that was 2 minutes towing back to the pit lane. That was completely unnecessary, and I don't even understand. I looked at the change logs afterwards, and literally nothing had changed. So what was so vital that they needed to restart my computer randomly, I have no idea, because no improvement on my Windows 8 at the time was found. You know, it's just, in fact, it probably went slower than anything else.
Not bitter about that at all, though.
No, I'm not bitter. You couldn't tell, could you?
So yeah, the actual racing so far, it's calmed down a bit now, but I think everyone was a little bit eager at the beginning. Lots of reports coming in of incidents, etc. But everyone seems to have started behaving now.
That's good to hear. We do have one battle on our hands before with the 69 Hands racing car and the 18 Triple S racing car. This is an LMP2, and for third place in class. And and as I just say that, he makes contact with the 79 nitrous oxide racing car. I think that was a bit of a misjudgment there from Samuel Rovida. Just coming down into the entrance for the first corner of Maggots and Beckett's, and he just swipes in front of that Porsche and clips or makes contact with the rear end panel. So that's made a nice mess of that one, and he's moved down into fourth place as a result. Now the question is, where is Alexis Capano, or Louis Marino should I say? He's now been able to resolve his issues from earlier, and he's in the race session, which is good to see. But the number 20 car is just behind by 1.2 seconds as they come into Stowe.
Yeah, just saw that incident happen, and it looked, yeah, exactly what you said there. Misjudged the distance, clipped cars, so I might have some work to do in a minute.
Yeah, it looks like you're going to be taken away from the commentary box in a short while, probably, by angry individuals saying how they've ruined their race or something, I don't know. But yeah, I don't think it's been that chaotic of a race. Sure, we've had our fair share of incidents here this evening, but I wouldn't say it was any more or less than what we saw in any other rounds. Of course, the start was a bit hectic. I think Lorenzo might have forgot which start line was being used for the actual race itself, and I think that led to a lot of the LMPs just going, oh, an opportunity is here, and then obviously they all gunned it, trying to make it to the apex of turn 1. But you know, other than that, we've had a few incidents with the 41 car, which they've had to drive through, and a few other cars as well who've had drive-throughs and warnings and whatnot. But I think, as a whole, I think most of it's just been racing incidents. You know, typical stuff that you see at your everyday multi-class race. You know, where it's just racing at the end of the day. Yeah,
that's it. I say the reports come through to me. Everyone's going to report something as soon as they get hit by another car, so that's standard practice. But yeah, most of it, as I say, it's just been race incidents. There's been warnings thrown around where things could have been handled a little bit better. But yeah, the usual high class of racing standards is pretty much applied to everyone here today.
Oh, the 83 is actually still going round, so something, I thought they DNF'd, so maybe some issues there. Hugh North in charge of the car, in P12 in class, but yeah, they're still going round, so I'm quite surprised to see them back in it. Maybe they got disconnected perhaps, or as you say, they did have that VR update, so maybe that's why they went into the pit lane, and it's taken them this long to get back into the driving seat, which is a shame, because they were having a great race with the mid-pack LMP2 class.
Yeah, they joined in back a few few laps ago. But yeah, it's a shame that they were having the issues. They look like they're going strong, but I said at least they can now focus on finishing the race.
Now we do have a fight between Team. Oh, as I say that they're going to the pit lane. So Team RSI were having a battle with Rapid Racing in the 13 BMW, but they've now come into the pit lane, and that has resolved that issue. That means that Alicia Filito and Team RSI have moved up into third. Now what I've always said about Team RSI is that they're quick, but they're not the quickest. But what they are damn well good at is strategy, and they will somehow find a way to qualify 9th and finish in a podium position. I don't know how the hell they do it. They really put a lot of effort into focusing on the big picture, as opposed to some of the other teams that are sometimes drawn into these battles, which obviously look really nice for us up here in the live stream, but they're not interested. Team RSI aren't interested in the day-by-day, lap-by-lap kind of stuff. They just think about, where am I going to be at the end of this? How do I get there? What kind of lap times do I need to be setting to get there and beat the rest of the field? And they just get on with the job. And you see it here now. They've gone from God knows how far down the order, and now they're in the podium position.
Yeah, it's been a running theme throughout all the races, really. Yeah, the on-track battles obviously isn't what they they like doing. It's slow, so yeah, they've done well to get back from 9th all the way to 3rd now. Let's hope that they can hold this.
Oh, Krusty's having a go at me now. He's saying, "Oh, we qualified 5th, not 9th." I was just using it as an example. I wasn't trying to emphasise it doesn't matter where you guys qualify. Somehow you're able to just progress up the order, no matter where you start and finish. Of course, this is going to be their best result in the season thus far, I do believe. I don't have the results in front of me, unfortunately. It's going to take me some time to get them up, and I'm afraid they'll come on stream, which of course is going to screw up the stream itself. But yeah, a strong performance from Team RSI, and fingers crossed it will continue. You're on a very strange strategy at the moment, and there's around, we're 2 hours and 8 minutes into this race, so 52 minutes remaining, or 51 minutes remaining as of now. And yeah, I guess it's all up from here.
Right, I've got a bit of work to do, so I will leave you to man the fort there, Matt, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for popping by. Best of luck for the last 50 minutes.
Alright, cheers, speak to you later.
See you later. So that was David Buckley, our live marshal for this afternoon. He's doing us a great favour since Dan has once again been kidnapped. So yes, but he's doing a great job. Again, very thankful for him stepping in, and he's making sure that everyone behaves themselves out there on the Silverstone circuit. And back to the racing, I guess, because we still have the LMP2s due another pit stop. Of course, their fuel tanks last around 45 minutes or so, so we're still expecting a splash and dash to the end for those teams. And of course, the GTEs should all have completed their pit stops now. And the closest battle that we've got between these guys is between Rapid Racing and Vortex Sim Sports. Now the 25 has had a driver change as well. Mikhail Nizio is back in charge of that BMW M8, so looking very feisty and trying to regain that 4th position, which he's been holding on to for pretty much this entire race so far. Bit of a mistake there from Mikhail Nizio. Was no fault of his own. I think he just panicked a bit because he was catching or making a lot of ground onto the back of that Porsche Vortex SimSport car. Just didn't want to take the risk and decided to go deep into the corner, which of course would have compromised his exit onto Chapel, but doesn't seem to be an issue as he goes down the inside into Stowe, gets the job done. That's P4 in the bag there for Rapid Racing, and Vortex SimSports hanging on behind just by a short distance. Here comes Team RSI though, because they want to get past as quickly as possible. They've got issues of their own, especially with the likes of the 14 car behind. They've obviously just conducted their own pit stop. They're now back down into P6 as a result. So Samuel Rovida, after driving for around 2 hours, has finally said, "I've had enough. I'm absolutely knackered, and my teammate can now take it the rest of the way." Rapid Racing twitching as they exit turn 1 there, just managed to hold on to that GTE BMW. And as we said, a fairly nice gap now to the 25 Vortex SimSports car. So still P5, a strong position for the 25 car, but of course they were extremely competitive 2 weeks ago at Slovakia Ring. But it seems some of the teams, some of the top end teams at least, are struggling to perfect on master Silverstone here this afternoon. Where is the 88? The 88 is still in the lead, and it's around 6 seconds to Chiba Hawk Racing in the 37. So as predicted, we knew that that was going to be the case because Chiba Hawk are pitting later, and Adam came into the pit lane a lot sooner than expected. And in the hands of the 37 is now John Melikar. battle between the Seawolf Netros Motorsport car and the Team RSI car as well, though. Of course, new drivers in both of these. You've got Conlan Blamey and Geary. I can't. No, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that surname. I'm really sorry. It's not you, it's me, she said. So I'd rather just have people read it rather than me butcher it completely and embarrass myself. But we'll go to the lead of LMP2 as well. Although actually, it looks like the 14 is gaining a lot of ground here. Here comes Conlan on the exit of turn 1 down into turn 2, which is Village. Then through the loop they go. A lot of speed being carried through here, and of course this is for 6th in class for the LMP2s. Not close enough just as of yet, though. Our lap times was a 1:49 for the 18 Team RSI car, 1:48 for the 14. So 14's gone up and down the order like a yo-yo, but seems to be stabilising quite nicely at the end of this event, going into the mid-pack at least for the time being. GTE cars in the way. That's the 77 BMW, that is. They're currently in 15th place in the hands of Luis Segura. That is the MRT Race F1 team. But that has meant that the 14 can get right on the tail of Team RSI. And down into Stowe they go. They will have the better line, but there's a bit of a tank slapper there for the 14. Too early on the power, and that means that the rear of that LMP2 car loses traction. Able to just snap it back into place, though, and continue on without issue. Okay, the total DNF list grows to 5. The Black Hawk Racing car, both Black Hawk Racing cars are out of this race, and the Hansa Racing 42 joins the list, which is our most recent casualty for this afternoon, which is unfortunate. That means that we've got 30 cars still going around the circuit. .8 seconds now for these two teams, Team RSI and the 14 Seawolf Netros Motorsport car. This is still for P6 in class as things stands. Looks like maybe Geary is finally starting to find some pace. Last lap was a 1:48.3, whereas Conlan's in the 14 was a 1:48.5. So he lost a few tenths there. And what has happened to the 14 car? I was in the pit lane. Okay, so the 14 goes into the pit lane. That is going to be a undercut attempt. Of course, there are just 40 or just under 45 minutes remaining in this race. That's plenty of fuel for them to play with. They can really rack up that engine mode and get the most out of this LMP2 car now. Now, how will Team RSI respond? Will they come into the pit next lap, or have they got plenty of fuel in the tank and coming for a splash and dash maybe in the last few moments of this race? Well, obviously we don't know. We have to wait and see and keep an eye on that and see how it unfolds. Trying to look, see if we've got any further battles unfolding on grid for you. Do have one between Taco Viper Virtual Racing and it looks like maybe Angus Tong in the 81. That's between the 32 and the number 40, I believe. Let me just confirm that for you. It is. So, okay, so Taco Virtual Viper Racing are trying to go up the order against the number 40, which is the Mad Hawk e-racing car. That's currently being driven by Vasilis Kater. Of course, you've got the LMP2 cars. That's the Hansa Racing car on the outside line there, and they're going three wide, and that's ended badly for Taco Viper Virtual Racing. That's they shouldn't have gone 3 wide there. Why didn't they leave each other enough room? That was, of course, the 32, the 25 Vortex Sim Sport car, and the Hansa Racing car as well, going 3 wide on the exit of Luffield. So that is pretty much the end of the 32, I think. That's got so much damage on the front end of that car. In fact, I'm quite surprised they are able to continue at all. Although we have seen a much larger shunt this afternoon, of course, in the hands of the 43 Black Hawk Racing car. But after such a strong performance 2 weeks ago at Slovakia Ring, it's all fallen apart here this afternoon at Silverstone. Now we're going to drag in one of our regular visitors into the commentary box. Ricardo Beutmann is with us. He's one of the drivers for the Hansa Racing team. So unfortunately you guys have had a bit of a rough afternoon here at Silverstone. Ricardo? Looks like he may be... Oh no, he is here. He's alive. So as I was saying, Ricardo, it says you've had a bit of a rough afternoon here at Silverstone. Run us through your race.
Oh, well, for our car, for the 42, it was really a different race than what we had from the last time. We kind of had a very bad qualified very low. I don't even remember where we qualified. The start was quite strange because I think the leader forgot to accelerate at the right point, and it was really awkward, and we all didn't know if we would be allowed to go or not, and some of us just went for it, and that resulted in some kind of crashes in the field, so it was really awkward, and I guess nearly all of the cars had some sort of damage after the first corner. So it was difficult to drive afterwards, and the pace was off and everything. But we were still in contention for P10 or P9 or so it was still more or less okay. But on the driver's swap, we had a big issue with our second driver for the 69. I mean for the 42, and he couldn't gain control over the car, and well, after that no one else could see us anymore on the track, and so we just had to retire the car in order not to ruin other races from other drivers, because that would suck.
I do apologise, we might have a battle between Team RSI and Rapid Racing on our hands. Seems to be a fairly large gap between them, 0.5 seconds just coming out of the loop and on to the first of the straights. So what sadly made you guys DNF? What was the deciding factor that made you retire from this afternoon's race?
Mainly because no one else was able to see us anymore.
Ah, I see. Right, sorry. I was trying to multitask. I just missed that last part of the message. That was it. Of course, you guys. It's the last race here for this year, 2018. Is anything you're taking into 2019? Of course, where we're going to Le Mans, Sebring, and the rest of the circuits. Of course, it's going to be 6-hour races pretty much for most of the events on the other half of the season. Is there any different way of approaching those compared to the 3-hour ones you've had thus far?
Well, actually, I think both races are still clearly they say they still kind of sprint races, because well the pace is really close together on all of the teams, and there are not many mistakes in the most of the drivers, so it's always just full blazing gun it. And it doesn't really matter if it's on
Yeah,
the
you get in the car, it's an hour sprinting, and then you get back out again.
Yeah.
What about the sister car? Obviously the 69 is still going strong here at Silverstone. Have you got any tips or a shout out you want to make for them at all?
Well, it's also a very difficult race for them as well, because the second driver for this car also has some technical difficulties. So if he can't solve this problem out, maybe I have to jump in again. But we will see how this will go.
Well, it's going to be a very tight window to get the issue solved. I mean, we're already 2 hours and 23 minutes into the event, so he's only really got 6 or so minutes to get the problem solved.
Yeah. He's right now loading the packages over the server. So
well, I think it's best.
Going to be a very close call.
Yeah, very close. I think I better on that note then let you go, and just in case you do need to load in and get ready to jump in and drive. But thanks as always for popping in. Sorry to hear that the 42 hasn't had so much good luck, but maybe some good.
Always the same.
Yeah, maybe some progress made in the good luck sector of things in 2019.
Oh, I hope so.
All right, take it easy, bud, and again, thanks for popping in.
Enjoy the race.
So that was Ricardo Beutmann, one of the drivers for Hansa Racing, the 42 car. Sadly, they have retired, but it looks like he's going to get another chance at this by driving in the 69 car, which is still being driven by Fabian Walter. So he's been in the car now for just under 2.5 hours, which is incredible performance to say the least, especially when they're in 3rd place at the moment. So they will need to come into the pit lane, whether or not the number 20 AMPU car or the 33 being driven by Paul Holt can take advantage of this situation. We'll have to wait and see. Another thing we need to look at is the number 44 car has lost us a fairly considerable amount of time over the last few laps. So if we have a look on our board, last lap time 146.5, 147, 145, 146 and even a 148 just within the last 5 laps. If we compare that to the Fair Racing car of Cliff van der Veen, we're talking 145, 144, 145 again, 147 and a 146 in the last 5 laps. So that lead of theirs is now down to 8 seconds, and there seems to be some issues with this car. Whether or not it's because it's a new driver, maybe they've suffered damage, I don't know, but we haven't really been looking at the lead of the LMP2, mainly because we thought that they had this in the bag. The pace that they've been showing from the start of this race has indicated that they have what it takes to take it home to the checkered flag. But now with half an hour left, and the way that the pace is going between these two cars, I'm not too sure. 8 seconds isn't that large of a gap when you're talking about second per lap deficits. So in about 8 or 10 laps or so, if the pace remains as it is, then Fair Racing, number 41 Fair Racing team, may be about to take the lead of this race. Now, of course, we do need to have the Hansa Racing car come in. We already discussed that just then. And Chiba Racing are around 7.5 seconds behind the 88 car. Now, Secura Racing is still in charge of being driven by Adam, regular driver here at CFEG, and always competitive and quick. And then we have the 37 car with Chiba Racing, and he's fairly competitive as well. Last lap wasn't that good, 201.181, so that's pretty slow when you consider these cars are GTEs and not GT3s. A 201.202 or even a 2-minute dead is what you'd expect from a GT3 car here. Going back to my iRacing days, and of course that's the old iRacing as well, the old Silverstone circuit. And we have Mikel Nizio in third. He's of course going wheel to wheel with Alicia Filito and the other team as well. Now I already think that Adam's going to have to come into the pit lane. Thank you for Christy for pointing that out. I know this because he came into the pit far earlier than anyone else at the start of this race. So I've already been thinking that they're on a different strategy and they're going for a 3-stop, because I couldn't imagine how they're going to make a 2-stop work. They're going to run out of fuel no matter what they did. So I think they tried stretching it. I think they've been greedy with it, and possibly, unless they're hiding something up their sleeve, I don't think they're really going to have enough to get to the checkered flag. Now we know that the 37 has enough to get to the end. We know that they came in not long ago. They came in about 5 or 6 laps after the BMW did, and I reckon that they have the advantage in the long term in the last remaining half an hour of this race. We're just coming up to the half an hour now with the last minute or so left. Looking at the live timing, we've got quite a few DNFs occurring. We've got the Rookie Monster 83 has finally fired for the last time. It's in the pit lane. That's now our 6th retirement. We've also got one of the LMP2 cars, which is the number 7 guest car. I think it might be Claudio Souza in the pit lane as well. And actually, we've just been told by the number 37 driver, by Lance Link, who's very kindly given us this information. He says that the 37 is also on heavy fuel saving mode and needs to find around half a lap to make it, and already doing everything they can. So that's a development and a half. I thought the 37, because they pitted so far beyond what was necessary, because they pitted about 5 laps after the 88 did. Surely I thought that that would just be enough to get them across the line, but it clearly does not. So it all depends on whether or not the 37 can get to the checkered flag. If they can find another half a lap of fuel, was it half a lap? Yeah, they need to find half a lap of fuel in order to make it to the end. And I don't even know if they're calculating whether or not they'd have to do an extra lap past the LMP2s, because if that number 1 car comes past and crosses that line before they do, then they're going to have to do an extra lap. That is not good news for them. So really going to spice things up here. Now, whether or not all of the other teams are in the same situation, I do not know. Of course, we know that. Let's have a look at Mikel Nizio in the Rapid Racing car. Let's bring up when they came into the pits. So by calculation, if the 37 needs to come into the pit lane, when did they come in? They pitted on lap 60. So if we deduce when Mikel Nizio came into the pit lane, he may be able to snatch this right from underneath them. He came into the pit lane on lap 61. So, if we can deduce or assume that the BMW and the Porsche have the same rate of fuel consumption, given how the balance of performance and the regulations surrounding GTE works in the real world and in the sim world, if the 37 only needs to find half a lap of fuel, and they're at their maximum capacity right now in terms of fuel saving, if that's the maximum that they can do, short of stopping in the middle of the track and let everyone drive past, then Mikel Nizio and the Rapid Racing 13 car could be about to take first place. Where are they in terms of the leader, you ask? Well, I have that information for you as well. They are around 40 seconds adrift. which, oh no, sorry, they're around, yeah, they're around 30 seconds adrift of the leading GTE. That's about the same time it takes to fill up an entire GTE's tank. So I don't think it will be enough to get them to the lead, but it could be a threat to the second place car. We will have to wait and see. That's definitely going to throw a spanner in the works, especially for the two leading GTE cars. And we might have a battle for the lead in LMP2 as well. Luca Di Emilio is under attack by Cliff van der Ven. And the question is, are they fuel saving as well? Is this part of their strategy? We don't know. When did Cliff van der Ven come into the pit lane? We'll have to look into this as well. This is all getting a bit too strategic for my liking. Why can't they just get in the car and drive like maniacs? They came in on lap 65. But Cliff van der Ven came in at lap 64, so they're on the same strategy. These two teams are on the same fuel strategy, and there's a lap between them in terms of what they can put down. So there's now another half an hour left. We're now on lap 83 for these cars. So I believe personally that Reborn Racers are trying to play it clever. They're trying to fuel save. They're going to short stop or just do a splash and dash because they won't need as much to put in the car. Maybe the 41 really pushing to the ragged edge of what's possible and just going for full out pace. But whatever they're doing, they're catching up and they're about to take the lead of this race. So 41 looks a bit more competitive at this stage. On the exit of the club corner, lap 84 now. These are the only two cars that are on the lead lap at the moment. The rest of the cars are on lap 82 up until you get to P6. What I need to do is get a calculator up. Ooh, apologies for that calculator, that's very professional on the stream, isn't it? What I'm trying to do is calculate how many laps they're going to have to complete. Not close enough just yet to make the move. Okay, so the last time Cliff van der Ven came into the pit lane, he went from lap 42 all the way to 64. So that's 22 laps that he was able to complete. So by my stunning mathematics, he should be coming in within the next 2 laps or so for some more fuel. Reborn Racers retire to the pit lane, so they're coming in for their final pit stop. As is the 88 as well, so things are spicing up in both the leading battle for LMP2 and GTE as well. So keep an eye on these two teams because things are going to get heated fairly quickly here. Team RSI coming across the line as well. They're behind Rapid Racing and Macau and Izio. You can see them in the distance there. Oh, and that's Triple S Racing. Watch out, Alicia Filito. Oh my God, a heart attack. I've just had a heart attack because I thought for a second there Team RSI were gone. I thought for a second that they would toast, but Alessio Filito knows the exact width of that Porsche and just squeezes through that gap between the grass and the car of Triple S Racing. I think Daniel Vidamari might need to sit down after that one, because that was extremely close. The thing is, he didn't even seem phased by it. He's like, yeah, it's just a spun car. Of course, I can fit through that gap. I don't give a damn. Just no damns given, and just kept his foot on the throttle and went straight through it. Just power punch, just boom, straight through the gap, as if nothing's happened. Just, I don't know what gap you're talking about. It seemed wide enough to me. You sim racers are absolutely bonkers sometimes. You know that. And we've had 7 retirements thus far in this race here this afternoon. When is a Fair Racing going to come into the pit lane though? Here they are, they're in the pit lane now. Where is the 44 from Reborn Racers? They are in Maggots and Beckett's, coming down through the corners now. They're being held up by the number 40. Whereas Cliff Van der Ven, now he's still in the pit lane. There's no new tyres going on any of these LMP2 cars, and I do not blame them. But where is the 44 coming into Stowe now? 41 still in the pit lane as he comes over down into Vale, and he's away. The 41 is out of that pit box, and he's right at the end of the pit lane already, and he's powering onto the circuit and back up to speed. That is a huge gap between these two cars. The 44 has led for the start of the race up until right now, when that has all changed and Cliff Van der Ven is now leading. Now Lorenzo Arisi is back in the car. That's probably what cost him the extra time in the pit lane with that driver change, because of course they aren't done at the same time. That does cost them time to get out of the car and back in. And considering Lorenzo Arisi has been in the car for such a long time already this race, it looks like that driver change may have cost him this victory here. Now the gap is officially 8.5 seconds. It's coming down now by quite a considerable margin. We wait for it to stabilise because they're trying to navigate their way through this GTE traffic. The LMP2 car behind was the 14. That's not the car that we're interested in at this moment in time. Where is the 44? They're just coming down this corner now, and it has now stabilised, and it's saying that they have to make up 12 seconds before they can fight for the lead of this race again. Now 12 seconds in 20 minutes before the checkered flag is dropped is quite a tall order, especially when you're against people like the Fair Racing team with the likes of Cliff Van der Ven in charge as well. A very quick team, very quick drivers, and we know that Lorenzo Arisi is the fastest man here today, but is it enough to take the victory and the lead of this race back? Now we do have another battle going on further down the order, and that's between the Hansa Racing car and the 33 of Paul Holt. So that's Fair Racing team once again holding on to P4, and in charge of the 69 is Matthias Muse, and we'll see if he can get anything out of the bag in this last few minutes of the race. We are starting to see battles emerge up and down the orders. Quite a few teams within a second of one another. Battle in, we've obviously got in front of us, which is 1.8 seconds between Hansa Racing and the 33. We then have another battle on our hands between Rapid Racing and Team RSI. What else do we have? We've got a battle between Chiba Hawk Racing, the 39 car, and the 86. In fact, they're actually closer together with Craig Jones and Alvaro Rabanal. And we're going to go over to them if we can, because they're 0.5 seconds between one another. This is the guest team that it's their first time here at CFEG. They're having a fairly strong performance mid-GTE. And Craig Jones in the Chiba Hawk Racing car defending for P6 in class at this moment in time. Oh, but going free wide on the exit of the loop. Down Wellington Straight they go towards Brooklands, and he's taking the position away. So the 86 with Alvaro Rabanal moves up by one position, and Craig Jones in the 39 Chiba Hawk car gets demoted into 7th place. It's now 2.4 seconds between the Fair Racing 33 and the Hansa Racing 69. And here comes Luca. He is on an extremely fast lap at the moment. He's going purple in sector 1 and 2 for the time being. And live timing is going crazy at the moment. See what this is going to put on the board. It's come down to 10.5 seconds on live timing at the moment. So he is gaining ground, but we'll see what kind of lap time he's going to produce before we get to the end of this lap. Of course, we've got GTE traffic in the way as well. That's going to cost him a few tenths going into Vale. And of course, you've got Club Corner as well. That's the battle we've just been on board with the 87. Oh, sorry, the 86 rather. And that wasn't a new fastest lap. That was a 1:44.105, which was 0.7 seconds quicker than Cliff van der Vin's lap time for this time round. That was lap 89. Let's have a look how much time is left. 15 minutes remaining, 14 minutes remaining to be exact. So we're entering the last death throes of this race. Last opportunity for everyone here to make their final moves. It's all just about putting in those lap times from here till the end. I said 20 minutes, didn't I? What did I say? Did I say 15 minutes? Apologies, I'm going slightly mad here. I do apologise. Reborn Racers that last time round, not as quick. In fact, they were around 0.6 seconds slower. And we have a battle between the 88 actually unfolding here. This is interesting. So we've got the 37 and the 88. They've just finished their pit stops, I believe. Let's have a look, see if we can find out. Because Adam came in quite a while ago, we know this, and the 37 took the lead, but it looks like 37 actually made a cracking pit stop and made up some of the ground, because they came out back ahead again of the 88 car. I'm trying to find out when they pitted. It doesn't look like they have, actually, if I'm truly honest. Of course, they are on fuel-saving mode. So Adam's gone for a pit stop. Of course, we know that the 37 is on fuel-saving mode 100%. But it doesn't look like it's paid off, if I'm truly honest, because the 88 has retaken the lead and they have made a pit stop to get to the end. So they've done a quick splashing dash that has worked in the favour of the 37. They took the lead of the race, but it looks like this fuel-saving mode that they're currently on hasn't worked in their favour. You've still got Rapid Racing as well, who are in third place, and they're still 16 seconds down the road. So don't see them making much ground up either on the lead of this race, but still it's 0.4 seconds between the two cars. Now the question is, what are 37 going to do? Because they're on low fuel as it is. They have enough, just by the skin of their teeth, to make it to the end, possibly. They've already said that they need to find another half a lap of fuel, and the question is, are they going to have to come into the pit lane? They can't fight with the 88. The 88 is just going to sail down the road now. They do not have the fuel to fight at full capacity. Leading LMP2 car, the 41, now a gap of 14 seconds as they enter Magnus and Beckett. So the gap has actually extended since we last came across it. Lorenzo Risi having trouble getting up to speed as his last lap was 1:44.6. That's 1.2 seconds slower than Cliff van der Vin's last lap time, and it's actually 0.2 seconds slower than the overall best lap so far. So Cliff van der Vin really pushing the LMP2, and the number 40 in the background there spins out in the background. That's not good news for them. Are they going to lose any positions as a result, though? It looks like they're back underway now. Yep, they've rejoined the track limits and continued the race. They're still in P9, so not any positions lost. In fact, the 77 car is still in P15, so that was not for position themselves. But looks like, as I said, Lorenzo Risi really struggling to get the pace down, and Cliff van der Vin has the advantage at this moment in time. It's now 15 seconds as they come across the timing line. Let's go back to the number 37 Cheaperhawk Racing car. They are still within striking distance. Of course, we still have to keep an eye on the 13 car with Team RSI as well, because they're only 3 seconds adrift themselves. Van der Veen having a bad lap last round. That was lap 92, 1:45.8. That's an entire second lost to Lorenzo Risi, and in fact the timing has come down to 13 seconds now, so he's lost 2 seconds according to live timing, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Then we have TCS Off Racing as well, so keep an eye on these guys. That's in 8th place at the moment, and they're trying to catch up to the number 14 car. Got the 69, which is in between the two of them. That's not for position though. The 69 car is in 5th place in LMP2. But the 55 is trying to catch up to Conlan Blamey in the 14 Seawolf Netrace Motorsport car, and seems to be doing a good job thus far. He's got the slipstream from the Hansa Racing car. Just a bit of a friendly tow going on there between the two teams. There's a run wide on the exit of Copse Corner as well. Bad luck there with the Porsche traffic. Oh, and there's a mistake there from the 14. Looks like he was conceding to the 69, and that's that position gained for the 55 car. Up into P7 they go, and the number 14 down into 8th. Will the number 14 have anything left in the bag? Can he respond in any way? Still 0.9 seconds between the two of them as they come into Mags and Beggars once more. Team RSI falling back slightly now, 3 seconds between them and Rapid Racing, so fairly large gap starting to emerge between the two teams. It's going to be a fairly tall order, especially when you're up against Macau Nizio. He's a fairly strong driver himself. The 14 car coming into the pit lane there in the background, so it looks like the 55 is safe for the time being. And a warning to the 93 car. That was around 10 minutes ago for unsafe rejoin after causing an accident. So a bit of a slap on the wrist there for them, especially at this late stage of the race. Next battle on our hands is the 38 Cheaper Hawk Racing car alongside the 32. This is for 12th place in class. Just coming out of Maddox and Beckett. On towards Hangar Straight they go. Now the car ahead is not for position. That's the F1 Bros Racing BMW. Not a strong performance for them this evening, unfortunately. They're currently in, or no, actually they're doing better than these two teams anyway, because they're in 11th. So correction to myself, they are actually fighting for this position, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken. That is correct. So it is a battle between the 87 and the 38, so apologies, it's not the 32. The 32 is in fact around 10 seconds adrift down the road. So we're on board then with the Cheaper Hawk Racing blue car, and this will be for 11th in class, which is a fairly nice jumping points. They will get, I believe, 4 points, I think, at the end of this. Elsewhere though, if we go and have a look at the lead of LMP2, last lap time by Cliff van der Ven was a 147.1. Lorenzo Risi 144.3, so a bit of a bad lap there for Cliff van der Ven, and that's brought the gap down to around 10 seconds or so as they come across the timing line. It was around 13 seconds, so that matches up with what I'm seeing on my data, but it has to be said, it's only 8 minutes remaining. That's a tall order, even for someone like Lorenzo Risi. All eyes on these two GTE cars though. This is a battle going way down the order in the GTE field, and just on the outskirts of the top 10. He's going to have the slipstream as he comes down, hanging straight towards toe. The BMW goes defensive on the inside line, but here comes the Porsche trying to have a little peep down the outside. Not able to get alongside just yet, and tucks himself right back in behind the BMW, looking to the right hand side now this time, but not enough room to get alongside still. So the BMW defending quite nicely, but it looks that the 33, or the 38 rather, has a bit more pace at this last few remaining stages of this race. Into turn one they go. Who's going to carry the most speed through the apex? Very high speed corner here as they go down into turn two as well. You've got the Hansa Racing car coming down the inside line. It's going to take both positions away. Bit of a puff of smoke from the tyres there, and the 38 takes advantage. The door is open there for the LMP2, and of course the 38 saw the opportunity and decided, I'll have that gap as well, let me through. But they're still side by side on the exit of turn four. On to the straight they go. This is great stuff. Just goes to show you don't need to be the fastest to have a great time here in racing, because this is brilliant to witness. Down into Brooklands they go, still too wide. The 38 uses more speed, carries it through the apex. Here comes the TCS off racing car, pushes the BMW wide, trying to get onto the inside line, and that means that he falls back by around half a second or so. So it's just managing the LMP2s is quite difficult here for some of these teams, and yeah, just bad timing there for the TCS off racing car. Of course, they're just trying to do and get by just like anyone else, but you know, it sadly interrupted this great battle we've got here between these two guys. It's not over yet, though. Of course, there's still 6.5 minutes remaining before we get to the checkered flag. As we enter the last few stages of the race, teams will start to think what could have changed, what could have been, what could I have done differently, what kind of strategy could we have employed now that they've seen some of the other teams employ their own tactics and unfold their own strategies. But don't forget to give us a like and subscribe if you did like the stream, of course the race, and just give us, in your own words, one at a time, what the best part of this race has been. What's been the best battle between these teams? What's been the best moment? You know, you've got Alicia Filito just getting through by the skin of his teeth. You've got the 43 being collected by the Iceberg Racing team in a spectacular collision, which of course was unforeseen. Then you have the battles between the top three teams. You had the 37 and the 88 going wheel to wheel the whole time. You've got the 41 coming back after going way down the order, or way far behind the 44, and then possibly, it's not over yet, but possibly snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. There's so many stories here. You've got the 18 Triple S Racing car going wheel to wheel with half of the mid-pack of the LMP2 field now in 6th place, and then you've got Hansa Racing as well, you know, going up and down the order themselves along with the number 20 cars. You've got so many different stories that have unfolded here this evening, everyone with their own journey in the last 3 hours or so, or 2 hours and 55 minutes. But yeah, what's been your favourite moment? Gap starting to emerge between the 38 and the 87 now as we reach the last final laps of this race. Just 5 minutes remaining, and that gap between the 41 and the 44 has not come down whatsoever. It's still 14 seconds in fact now the last time by, and that's because of all the GTE traffic. And that's what really makes endurance racing fun as well. I'm going to go ranting on from one here. You know, it's not about being the fastest guy on the grid. Sure, it helps, but as proven, Cliff van der Veen is able to implement a strategy along with the rest of the guys at the Fair Racing team, and that has been the deciding factor of this race. You can lead the race for 2 hours, 2.5 hours like the 44 have done, but one mistake, one slip up, and even the fastest guy on the grid can't save you. And we know Alenzo Arisi is the fastest guy on the grid because he topped the qualifying charts
He's set the fastest lap during the race, fastest in qualifying. He's just been fastest everywhere this evening. But it hasn't been enough to make sure the 44 comes home with a victory. I mean, as I said, it's still 3.5 minutes left. But, you know, anything can happen. There's a battle for 8th. Let's have a look. That's the... Yes, there is. Thank you, monsieur. There's battles going on everywhere at the moment, especially in the GTE pack. So, as just stated, we've got the 34 car defending against the number 40. That's the Mad Hawk E-Racing car. And this is the C7 GTE guest car as well. So, they're going toe-to-toe for the time being. Bit of a gap of around 0.6 seconds. So, yeah, 0.8 seconds as they come towards Copse Corner. It's about the same distance between the cars that we were just watching, in fact. And we do have another race on our hands between the 33 and the 69 Hands Racing car as well. So, this is for 4th placing class. This is Fair Racing Team and Hands Racing, of course. And there's battles going on down the order as we speak. We're going to have to try and decide which one we want to watch as we approach the last 2 minutes of this race. The Mad Hawk E-Racing car in GTE is 0.8 seconds down still. And now the F1 Bros Racing car compared to the Cheetah Hawk Racing car is now 2.3. So it looks like maybe this is the closest battle we're going to get as we approach the last few laps, which it is. Exit there from the Hands Racing car. Here they come down the hangar straight. We've got GTE traffic. He's going to get the slipstream from the Rapid Racing car just on the left wing of that car. And they're going too wide into Stowe. And there's contact made between the 33. They nearly collect Rapid Racing in the 13 car, but just miss just by the skin of their teeth. And it looks like the 69 has got that position away. I think he was trying to squeeze him down onto the racing line a bit too much there. But of course, with the camera angles that we have, we can't judge too harshly. Of course, we don't know, we can't see, and therefore it'll be down to the racing stewards to decide. Of course, it's too late to implement any form of drive-through penalty as they enter the last lap for the final time here at Silverstone, round 3 of the World Sports Car Challenge. But if it is deemed that it was an aggressive move resulting in the loss of position, which obviously it did, then it may be that the 69 could be facing a penalty for the next round. And he's actually conceding the position back to the 33, so very sportsmanlike. Perhaps that will save him a bit of aggro when we get to the checkered flag. But we'll go back to these guys. They're going to have to do one more lap. One more lap. This is the final lap now, because the 41 with Cliff van der Ven has just crossed the start finish line, and the timer has now officially stopped. 3 hours has been completed by this team, and they will need to complete this current lap in order to come home in first place. 44 Reborn Racers 16 seconds behind now as they come over the timing line and into the village complex of corners. But it's been a great race here, great performance from all involved. 41, strong performance by both drivers, and then the 44 as well, commanding drive all throughout this race, 2.5 hours worth in fact, until the very end. The last half an hour, it seems that 41 just took the race by the horns and decided, you know what, we've had enough of this now, we want to lead, and so they have done. In third place, we've got Louis Marino in the number 20 AMBU car. Of course, his teammate Alexis Clupano as well. Strong performance by them. They've been going up and down in the top 5, but finally they seem to have come to a resting place at the bottom end of the podium position. And always an instant there for one of the Cheetah Hawk Racing cars. Not time to do it. You want to make sure you get to the checkered flag there, bud. As he does so, he's rejoined now. It's good to see. Don't want to DNF at this stage of the race. And of course, in GTE, we have the Secura Racing BMW M8 the number 88 car, being driven by Adam, and he takes home the victory for GTE class, followed closely by, oh, and actually we might have a battle here between Rapid Racing and Cheever Hort Racing, and we do. Rapid Racing go up into second place on the last lap. Where is John Melliker? He's in third and going very slowly through Village. Of course, Cliff van der Veen has just come across the start-finish line to finish the race for the LMP2 field, but what a development that is. Of course, we know that the 37 was struggling on fuel, and we know that Mikhail Nizio was one lap off. He pitted 1 lap after the 37, so it looks maybe perhaps that the 37 is really struggling on fuel, and Rapid Racing taking advantage of that situation. It looks like 3-stop was the option to do, though, because of course the fuel just about reaches the end if you're doing a 2-stop, but which is a shame for some of these GTE cars. But yeah, 3-stop strategy here at Silverstone for round 3 of the WSCC appears to have been the strong point. Lou Marino comes across the start-finish line as well. He takes home 3rd place in LMP2, and here comes Sakura Racing into the last few final corners. 91 laps complete by the GTE field, or 92 laps complete. He will take victory home for the GTE class for Secure Racing in the 88 machine. Nizio coming into the last few corners as well. No traffic surrounding him as he comes across the start-finish line. What a developing race that has been. Great finish by the number 13 as he rises up. Oh, wow, nearly a collision there with the I think that was the 82 Rookie Monster C7 there. Yeah, it was driven by Mantis Rika, so very scary stuff to end the race on. And of course the 37 Cheever Hort Racing car comes across the line in 3rd, so great stuff from them as well. Plenty of points on the board before we go for our Christmas break. Going further down in the order then, it was Paul Holt who comes across the line in 4th place. They've already finished as well. And then we have Fabian Walter in the Hansa Racing car for P5 in LMP2. Then it's the 18 Triple S Racing car in P6, followed by TCS Off Racing in P7. And then we have Seawolf Nettrace Motorsport car in P8, followed by the Iceberg Racing team in P9. In last place in the LMP running LMP2 cars, it is the number 7 guest car. Going into the outside of the podium for the GTEs, we've got Alicio Filito in Team RSI. They come home in 4th place, followed by the 25 Vortex Sim Sport car in 5th. Then we have the 86 car in P6. They're the guest Corvette or guest Porsche for this evening, their first showing. And then we have the 39 Cheever Hort Racing car as well. Then we have the 34 C7 guest car being driven by Rino Di Loro. And then we have Madhawk E-Racing in P9. Rookie Monsters come home in 10th, rounding out the top 10 for the GTEs. Then we have Cheever Hort Racing in P11, followed by Daniel Ersling in the F1 Bros Racing BMW in 12th. And then we have Taco Viper Virtual Racing in 13th. The 82 Mantis Rika's Rookie Monster car in 14th, followed by the 77 car driven by Luis Aguila in MRT Race 1. Then we have Cody Ebai in the 36 Cheever Hort Racing car, and the 79 driven by Luca Passini in the Nitrous Oxide Racing team. In the last place of the running cars was Samuel Rovida in the 93, so he finished off for that team. So that is round 3 of the World Sports Car Challenge for you. Silverstone, the 3-hour race has now been complete, and those are the results in for you. Now guys, that is it for this year. 2018 has now been fully completed, and we'd like to wish you from CFEG a very happy and joyful Christmas and New Year. Make sure to keep an eye on our calendar, and of course if you are new to the series, or if you're popping in for the live stream, then visit us at www.checkerflagendurance.com. Come speak to us on Discord, come join us on Facebook, and give us a like and subscribe as well. But congratulations to all the winners here this evening. Happy Christmas and New Year, and we'll see you for the next round at Le Mans.